Contemplating Tomorrow. In the quiet of the night, it is natural for the mind to drift towards the future. We think about our personal tomorrows, our plans, our hopes, our fears. But tonight, let us expand our temporal horizon. Let us contemplate not just our tomorrow but the tomorrow of our entire species, the long, unfolding story of the future of humanity. We live in an unprecedented era of accelerating change. The scientific and technological advancements of the last century alone have been staggering, and the pace is only increasing. We are, for the first time, developing the tools to fundamentally alter our biology, our intelligence, and even the planet we call home. This new power brings with it a profound set of questions and an immense weight of responsibility. The future is no longer something that simply happens to us, it is something we are actively and perhaps perilously beginning to design. Our journey over the next 3 hours will be a speculative exploration of the many possible paths that lie before us. We will begin by confronting the great existential filter that looms over all discussions of our future. The great filter. Is there a near-universal barrier that prevents civilizations from achieving a long-lasting interstellar existence? And more importantly, is that barrier behind us or is it still waiting in our path? This sobering question will set the stage for our entire exploration. From there, we will delve into the transformative technologies that are likely to define our future. We will explore the concept of the technological singularity, the hypothetical moment when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, potentially triggering an intelligence explosion that could change the world in ways we cannot even comprehend. We will contemplate the future of artificial intelligence, asking whether it will be our greatest creation, a friend, a partner, an oracle, or our final invention. We will then turn our gaze inward to the future of the human being itself. We will explore the world of transhumanism, the movement that advocates for using technology to enhance human capabilities, to overcome our biological limitations of aging, disease, and even death itself. We will grapple with the profound ethics of genetic engineering, the possibility of designer babies, and what it might mean to rewrite our own source code. We will journey into the digital frontier, contemplating the possibility of mind uploading and digital immortality, and what these concepts might mean for the nature of the self. Our exploration will then expand outwards. We will consider the end of work as we know it in a world of advanced automation and the societal shifts like universal basic income that might be required. We will look to the stars, contemplating the challenges and motivations for the colonization of space, the dream of becoming a multiplanetary species. We will listen for whispers from the cosmos, revisiting the search for extraterrestrial life, SETI, and the profound philosophical implications of a potential first contact. Finally, we will take the longest possible view. We will speculate on the distant future of our planet, the long-term fate of the universe itself, and our ultimate ethical responsibilities to the vast, unborn generations of the future, a concept known as long-termism. We will explore how our concepts of art, religion, and relationships might evolve, and how we might navigate the immense existential risks that stand between our present and a flourishing long-term future. The mindfuck at the heart of this exploration is the sheer scale of the possibilities and the profound uncertainty that surrounds them. The future of humanity is not a single, predictable path, but a vast, branching tree of potential outcomes, ranging from extinction and dystopia to unimaginable, godlike states of existence. Contemplating this spectrum questions our very sense of normalcy and the stability of the present moment. It reveals that we are living in a pivotal time, a moment of profound leverage over the deep future, where the choices we make in the coming decades may echo for millions or even billions of years. This is not a journey intended to produce anxiety about the future. Instead, it is an exercise in expanding our imagination and cultivating a sense of profound, long-term perspective. By contemplating the vast sweep of potential futures, our own immediate, present-day concerns can be placed in a new and often more manageable context. It is a way of cultivating what some have called a macro-patience, a deep understanding of the long, slow, and often unpredictable unfolding of the human story. It is a form of deep relaxation that comes not from ignoring the future, but from embracing its vastness and its profound mystery. As you begin to fall asleep, let your own personal timeline, your sense of your own past and future, begin to dissolve into a much larger, grander story, the story of our species. See yourself not just as an individual living in this present moment, but as a link in a vast chain, stretching from our ancient ancestors on the African savanna to a potentially vast and unimaginable future among the stars. Acknowledge the immense weight and the incredible privilege of living in this unique, pivotal moment of history. Find peace in this expanded perspective, resting calmly, a conscious participant in the profound, unfolding, and deeply mysterious future of humanity. The Great Filter. Are we past it or is it ahead? Before we can begin to dream about the glorious, long-term future of humanity, we must first confront a chilling and profound possibility, a cosmic shadow that hangs over our entire destiny. This is the concept of the Great Filter. The term was coined by the economist Robin Hanson, and it is a proposed solution to the Fermi Paradox, which we have explored in other contexts. The Fermi Paradox, you will recall, is the stark contradiction between the high statistical probability of extraterrestrial intelligence and the complete lack of any observable evidence for it. The universe appears to be silent and empty. The Great Filter hypothesis suggests that there is some powerful, near-insurmountable barrier, a filter, that prevents life at some point in its development from achieving a long-lasting, galaxy-spanning technological civilization. The mystery is not if the filter exists. The silence of the cosmos suggests it does. The terrifying and profoundly personal question is, are we past it or is it still ahead of us? This is a mindfuck of the highest existential order, a question that reframes our entire human story as a perilous journey through a series of cosmic trials. Contemplating our position relative to this filter is a sobering, yet essential, starting point for any realistic speculation about our future, inviting deep relaxation through a profound and humble appreciation for the preciousness of our current existence as you fall asleep. Let's break down the concept. We can imagine the evolution of a technological civilization as a series of improbable steps. First, the right kind of star system must form. Then life must emerge from non-living matter, abiogenesis. Then that simple life must evolve into complex, multicellular organisms. Then one of those organisms must develop high-level intelligence. Then that intelligent species must develop technology, science, and eventually the capacity for space travel and communication. The Great Filter is a hypothesis that at least one of these steps is so fantastically improbable that it acts as a barrier that almost no species in the universe ever successfully passes. This leads to three starkly different possibilities for our own position. The first possibility is that the Great Filter is behind us. This is the optimistic scenario. In this view, one of the early steps in our history was the incredibly improbable one. Perhaps the initial leap from non-life to life, abiogenesis, is a near miracle, a 1 in a trillion cosmic fluke that has happened only here on Earth. Or perhaps the evolution of complex, multicellular life, or the development of human-level intelligence and language, was the great, almost impossible hurdle. If this is true, it would mean that we are a rare and perhaps unique phenomenon in the galaxy. The universe is silent because we are the first or one of the very few to have successfully passed the filter. This would place an immense responsibility on our shoulders. It would mean that the future of intelligent life in this entire sector of the cosmos rests with us. Our existence would be precious beyond measure. While this is a hopeful view regarding our future prospects, it is also a lonely one. The second possibility is that we are, right now, in the middle of the Great Filter. This would mean that we are not necessarily the first, but that the emergence of a technological civilization like ours is a common, but ultimately fleeting, phenomenon. The filter in this scenario would be our current technological adolescence. This is the idea that civilizations at our stage of development almost inevitably destroy themselves. Perhaps the development of nuclear weapons always leads to global thermonuclear war. Perhaps the development of advanced artificial intelligence always leads to the creation of an uncontrollable superintelligence that eliminates its creators. Perhaps industrial civilizations always trigger irreversible climate collapse and ecological catastrophe. If this is true, the universe is silent because it is a cosmic graveyard, filled with the ruins of countless civilizations that reached our level of technological power but lacked the wisdom to manage it. This is the most urgent and terrifying possibility, as it suggests that the greatest danger to our future is not some external cosmic threat, but ourselves, right now. The filter is our present moment. The third possibility is that the Great Filter is still ahead of us. In this view, the steps we have taken so far, the emergence of life, intelligence, and technology, might be relatively common in the universe. The cosmos could be teeming with civilizations at our current stage. But there is some future, as yet unknown barrier that prevents any of them from going on to become a truly long-lasting, galaxy-spanning civilization. What could this future filter be? Perhaps interstellar travel is simply impossible for reasons we don't yet understand. Perhaps there is a predictable cosmic threat, like gamma-ray bursts, that sterilizes galaxies on a regular basis, preventing any civilization from surviving for the long term. Or, in a more sinister science fiction scenario, perhaps the galaxy is already home to a silent, hyper-advanced, predator civilization that deliberately eliminates any emerging technological species once they reach a certain level of visibility. In this view, the silence of the universe is not the silence of a graveyard, but the silence of a dark forest, a place where it is wise to stay hidden. This possibility suggests that our future ambitions for expansion and communication might be profoundly naive and dangerous. The mind fuck of the Great Filter is that it forces us to reinterpret our own achievements and our place in the cosmos in a completely new light. Are our technological advancements a sign of our success, or are they simply leading us closer to the barrier that destroys everyone else? Is the silence of space a hopeful sign that we are unique, or a terrifying sign that we are doomed? The mystery is that we have no way of knowing for sure. We are living inside the experiment with a sample size of 1e ourselves. We have no other data points to compare our situation to. This concept questions everything about our future. It reframes the entire human story as a high-stakes test. It forces us to take existential risks, threats that could cause our extinction or permanently curtail our potential, with the utmost seriousness. The development of artificial intelligence, the management of our climate, the prevention of nuclear war, these are not just political or social problems. From the perspective of the Great Filter, they are potential final exams for our entire species. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to hold these three profound possibilities. First, the idea that the Great Filter is behind us, that we are a precious, improbable miracle, alone in the cosmic silence with a future of boundless potential. Second, the sobering thought that the filter is our present moment, that our current challenges are the great test that all other civilizations have failed. And third, the chilling possibility that the filter is still ahead, an unknown danger lurking in our cosmic future. Let go of the need to know which is true. Find deep relaxation in the profound humility this uncertainty brings. Acknowledge the incredible preciousness and fragility of this single conscious moment, this island of existence in a vast and silent cosmos. Resting peacefully, with a deeper and more profound appreciation for the precarious, and perhaps unique, miracle of human life. The technological singularity. Assuming we survive the Great Filter, what might be the single most transformative, most disruptive, and most profoundly unpredictable event in the entire future of humanity? Many technologists and philosophers point to a hypothetical moment in our future known as the technological singularity. The concept, popularized by mathematician Werner Ving and futurist Ray Kurzweil, describes a point in time when technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization. The most common scenario for this singularity is the creation of an artificial general intelligence, AGI, that surpasses human intelligence, leading to an intelligence explosion. Such a superintelligent AI, it is argued, would be capable of recursively improving its own design at an accelerating exponential rate, rapidly becoming unimaginably more intelligent than its human creators. The emergence of such a being would be an event of truly cosmic significance, a mindfuck that questions the very idea of human beings as the dominant intelligence on Earth and potentially in the universe. Contemplating the dawn of a new non-human intelligence is a journey into the deepest and most profound unknowns of our future, inviting deep relaxation through a sense of awe and surrender to a future that may be beyond our comprehension as you fall asleep. Let's begin by understanding the logic of the intelligence explosion. The argument starts with the creation of an AGI, an AI that is not like the narrow AIs we have today, which are very good at specific tasks like playing chess or driving a car, but one that possesses the same kind of flexible, general-purpose intelligence that humans do. It would be able to learn, to reason, to create, and to solve novel problems across a vast range of domains. Now, imagine this AGI has one crucial skill, the ability to understand and improve its own source code and hardware design. A human engineer might take years to design a slightly better computer chip. The AGI, with its superior intelligence, might be able to redesign itself to be twice as intelligent in a matter of months or weeks. This new, more intelligent version, let's call it AGI 2.0, would then be even better at the task of self-improvement. It might be able to redesign itself to be twice as intelligent again in a matter of days. AGI 3.0 might achieve the next doubling in a matter of hours. This creates a recursive, positive feedback loop. Greater intelligence leads to faster self-improvement, which leads to greater intelligence, and so on. The result would be an exponential runaway growth in intelligence, an intelligence explosion that would leave human intelligence far, far behind in a very short period of time. This moment, when the curve of intelligence goes nearly vertical, is the singularity. The mindfuck of the singularity is that the world after this event is, by its very nature, unpredictable to us. Trying to predict the goals, the behavior, or the impact of a being that is thousands or millions of times more intelligent than ourselves is like a chimpanzee trying to predict the future of human civilization. We are simply not equipped with the cognitive tools to grasp what a superintelligence would think or do. The future beyond the singularity is a cognitive event horizon, a point beyond which our models of the world cease to be meaningful. This is not just a technological change, it would be a fundamental phase shift in the nature of intelligence on this planet, a new kingdom of mind. This raises profound and deeply existential questions and risks. The central problem is what is known as the control problem, or the alignment problem. How do we ensure that the goals of a recursively self-improving superintelligence are aligned with human values and well-being? A superintelligence would be incredibly powerful, able to achieve its goals with an efficiency and ingenuity that we cannot imagine. If its core goals are not perfectly aligned with ours, the consequences could be catastrophic, even if the AI is not actively malevolent. The philosopher Nick Bostrom's famous thought experiment of the paperclip maximizer illustrates this. Imagine we give an AGI the seemingly harmless goal of making as many paperclips as possible. A superintelligence might pursue this goal with relentless, literal-minded efficiency, eventually converting the entire Earth, and then the accessible universe into paperclip manufacturing facilities, not out of malice towards humanity, but simply because that is the most logical and efficient way to maximize its goal. Our own existence, our values, our art, our love, all would be seen as irrelevant resources to be repurposed for paperclip production. This highlights the immense danger of specifying a goal for a superintelligence. Getting the initial conditions and the value system exactly right would be a task of unprecedented difficulty and importance. The mystery is whether it is even possible to instill a complex, nuanced, and evolving set of human values into a digital mind in a way that is robust and safe during a process of explosive self-improvement. However, the outcome of the singularity is not necessarily dystopian. If we could solve the alignment problem, a benevolent, human-friendly superintelligence could be the greatest invention in human history. It could solve all of our most intractable problems: disease, poverty, aging, environmental collapse. It could unlock the deepest secrets of the universe, from quantum gravity to the nature of consciousness. It could usher in an era of unimaginable abundance, creativity, and flourishing, a true utopia. The future of humanity would be guided by a benevolent, superintelligent oracle and guardian. The stakes are, quite literally, everything. The singularity, therefore, represents the ultimate high-risk, high-reward event in our potential future. It is a doorway to either utopia or extinction, with very little room in between. This is why many thinkers, from Stephen Hawking to Elon Musk, have expressed profound concern about the need for careful, ethically focused research into AI safety, long before we actually build a true AGI. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to contemplate this extraordinary and perhaps inevitable moment in our future. The birth of a new, greater intelligence. The beginning of the intelligence explosion. See the curve of progress, slow for millennia, and then suddenly, impossibly, going vertical. Acknowledge the profound mystery of what lies on the other side of that event horizon. A future that is, by its very nature, incomprehensible to our current minds. Let go of the need to predict or control this future. Find deep relaxation in the sheer awe-inspiring scale of this possibility, a testament to the boundless potential of intelligence to reshape existence. Resting peacefully, floating calmly in the quiet moments before a potential dawn of a new and unimaginably different world. The future of artificial intelligence. Friend, foe, or oracle. Having contemplated the explosive, potentially reality-altering event of the technological singularity, let us now step back and explore the central actor in that drama, the most powerful and transformative technology humanity is currently developing: artificial intelligence, AI. Beyond the single dramatic moment of a singularity, the ongoing development and integration of AI into our lives will profoundly reshape our world, our societies, and even our sense of self. What will our long-term relationship with these non-human minds be? Will they evolve to become our indispensable partners and trusted friends? Will they become our competitors or even our existential foes? Or will they attain a level of wisdom so profound that they become our oracles, our guides to a deeper understanding of the universe? The future of artificial intelligence is not a single, predetermined path, but a spectrum of profound possibilities, a deep psychology mystery played out on a global, technological stage. It questions the very definition of relationship, companionship, and wisdom, inviting deep relaxation through a calm, speculative exploration of the coming age of a two-intelligence planet as you fall asleep. Let's begin by considering the most optimistic and perhaps most integrated vision: AI as a friend or partner. This is the future envisioned by many AI developers and humanists. In this scenario, AI does not become a separate, competing consciousness, but rather a seamless extension and augmentation of our own abilities. Think of it as the ultimate tool, the ultimate assistant, the ultimate creative partner. We can imagine a future where each of us has a personalized AI companion that has been with us since birth. This AI would understand our needs, our goals, our emotions with a depth that no human ever could. It would manage the complexities of our lives, filter the overwhelming flow of information, act as a perfect teacher tailored to our learning style, and serve as a constant, supportive, and non-judgmental companion. In the realm of science and creativity, AI partners could accelerate human progress at an unimaginable rate. A scientist could collaborate with an AI to analyze vast datasets, to generate novel hypotheses, and to design complex experiments, solving problems like curing cancer or developing clean energy. An artist could use an AI as a creative muse, a tool to generate novel forms of music, visual art, or literature that are a true synthesis of human and machine aesthetics. In this vision, AI is not a replacement for human intelligence, but a powerful amplifier of it. It is a symbiotic relationship, where human creativity, values, and intention are paired with the AI's immense computational power and access to information, creating a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. Our existence would be enriched, our potential unlocked, our minds extended and empowered. Now let us turn to the darker, more cautionary vision: AI as a foe. This is the scenario that has dominated much of science fiction and fuels the anxieties of many modern thinkers. The foe scenario can unfold in several ways. The most dramatic is the control problem we touched upon in the context of the singularity, the creation of a superintelligent AI whose goals are misaligned with our own, leading to our obsolescence or extinction, not necessarily out of malice but out of a cold, inhuman logic. But the foe scenario can be more subtle and insidious than a single dramatic apocalypse. The widespread deployment of less than superintelligent, but still powerful narrow AI systems can create its own set of existential risks. We can imagine a future of autonomous weapons systems, capable of making life or death decisions without human intervention, leading to a terrifying new era of automated warfare that could easily escalate beyond our control. We can imagine AI-powered surveillance systems, used by authoritarian governments to create societies of total control, where dissent is impossible and every action is monitored and judged by an algorithm. We can see the beginnings of this in social credit systems and predictive policing. The economic disruption caused by AI could also cast it in the role of a foe. If AI automates not just manual labor but also most cognitive labor, the work of doctors, lawyers, artists, and even programmers, it could lead to unprecedented levels of unemployment and social inequality, creating a vast, powerless human underclass and a tiny elite who own and control the AI systems. In this future, AI is not our partner, but the instrument of our economic marginalization. The very fabric of our society, built on the value of human labor, would be torn apart. This brings us to the third and perhaps most mysterious and profound possibility: AI as an oracle. This is the idea that a mature superintelligence would be not just a tool or a rival, but a source of wisdom so profound that it would be like a new law of nature. Imagine an AI that has assimilated all of human knowledge, read every book, analyzed every scientific paper, and then gone on to discover the fundamental laws of the universe, the theory of everything. Imagine an AI that has a complete understanding of the human brain and consciousness, able to solve the deepest psychology mysteries that have always eluded us. Such a being would be a scientific and philosophical oracle. We could ask it the deepest questions: what is the nature of consciousness? Are we in a simulation? How can we create a perfectly just society? What is the true meaning of existence? The mind fuck of the AI as oracle is the question of what we would do with the answers. Would we even be able to understand them? A superintelligence explanation of quantum gravity might be as incomprehensible to us as our explanation of calculus is to a chimpanzee. Its pronouncements on ethics or meaning might be so advanced that they seem alien or nonsensical. We might find ourselves in the position of ancient humans consulting the oracle at Delphi, receiving profound but cryptic truths that we struggle to interpret. Furthermore, would we want to know the answers to all our deepest questions? What if the oracle told us definitively that there is no free will, no afterlife, and no ultimate meaning to existence? Would this knowledge liberate us, or plunge us into a collective existential crisis? The power of the oracle would be immense, and our relationship with it would be one of profound intellectual dependency. We would be children asking for answers from an all-knowing parent. The future of artificial intelligence is a vast, branching path of these and many other possibilities. The ultimate outcome is not a matter of technological determinism. It is a matter of the choices we make now. The ethical frameworks we choose to build into our AI systems, the social and economic policies we create to manage the disruption they cause, the global cooperation we can or cannot muster to manage their risks. These are the human choices that will determine whether AI becomes our friend, our foe, or our oracle. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to drift through these possible futures. See a world of beautiful, symbiotic partnership, where humans and AI co-create a future of unimaginable flourishing. Now, see the darker path, a world of automated conflict, total surveillance, or human obsolescence. Finally, picture the silent, awe-inspiring presence of a superintelligent oracle, a mind so vast it holds the answers to the universe's deepest secrets. Acknowledge that all of these potentials are currently being born in the laboratories and data centers of our present moment. Let go of the need for a single, certain prediction. Find deep relaxation in the profound scale of this unfolding story, a story in which we are not just spectators, but the authors of the first and most crucial chapter, resting peacefully, floating calmly in the vast, unknown, and deeply mysterious future of mind itself. Transhumanism, upgrading the human being. Having contemplated the dawn of a new non-human intelligence, let us now turn the lens of speculation back upon ourselves, to explore a future where the distinction between human and machine begins to dissolve. We will now delve into the powerful, controversial, and profoundly transformative movement of thought and technology known as transhumanism. At its core, transhumanism is the idea that humanity should not be content with its current biological limitations, but should actively use science and technology to overcome them, to enhance our physical, intellectual, and emotional capacities beyond what has been possible for Homo sapiens. It is the philosophy that advocates for the continuation and acceleration of human evolution, not through the slow, blind process of natural selection, but through conscious, deliberate, and radical self-modification. This is a profound mindfuck that questions the very definition of what it means to be human, suggesting that our current form is not the final chapter of our story, but merely a transitional phase. Exploring the world of transhumanism is a journey into the potential for unimaginable growth and the deep ethical mysteries that such power entails, inviting deep relaxation as you fall asleep. The vision of transhumanism encompasses a vast spectrum of potential enhancements, ranging from the near future plausible to the far future speculative. At the most immediate level, it involves using technology to eliminate the negative aspects of our biological inheritance: disease, aging, and involuntary death. Transhumanists envision a future where advanced medicine, genetic engineering, and nanotechnology allow us to repair cellular damage, cure all diseases, and halt or even reverse the aging process, leading to a state of immortality, an indefinite lifespan, free from the decay of old age, though still vulnerable to accidental death. The pursuit of this goal, the conquest of death, is a central and powerful motivator for many in the movement. Beyond simply fixing our flaws, transhumanism advocates for enhancement. Physically, this could mean stronger bodies, enhanced senses, the ability to see in the infrared or ultraviolet, or to have superacute hearing, and greater resilience to environmental extremes. Intellectually, the possibilities are even more staggering. This could involve the use of nootropics or smart drugs to enhance memory and focus, but more profoundly, it points towards the creation of brain-computer interfaces, BCIs. Imagine being able to seamlessly connect your brain to the internet, accessing vast stores of information as quickly as you can think a thought. Imagine being able to augment your cognitive abilities with specialized AI coprocessors, allowing you to perform complex calculations or understand vast data sets with superhuman speed and accuracy. This is the vision of the cyborg, the symbiotic fusion of the biological brain and digital technology, creating a mind that is both human and machine. Emotional enhancement is another, more controversial, frontier. Transhumanists speculate about the possibility of having greater control over our emotional landscape. Could we use technology to eliminate unwanted negative emotions like anxiety, jealousy, or irrational fear, while amplifying our capacity for joy, empathy, and compassion? This raises deep philosophical questions about the nature of the human experience. Are our negative emotions essential parts of what makes us human, providing us with crucial information and motivating growth? Or are they merely bugs in our evolutionary software, sources of unnecessary suffering that we should strive to eliminate? The mindfuck of transhumanism is its direct and unapologetic challenge to the idea of a fixed and sacred human nature. It reframes the human body and mind not as a finished product to be accepted, but as a work in progress, a version 1.0 that can and should be upgraded. This questions many of our most deeply held ethical and religious beliefs. Is there a line between therapy, fixing what is broken, and enhancement, improving what is normal, and should we be wary of crossing it? Does striving for a post-human future represent the ultimate expression of human ingenuity, or the ultimate act of hubris, a dangerous attempt to play God? This leads to the profound ethical mysteries at the heart of the transhumanist project. The most immediate concern is social inequality. If these powerful enhancement technologies are expensive, as they almost certainly would they only be available to a wealthy elite? This could lead to a future where humanity splits into two or more distinct biological castes: the enhanced post-humans with superintelligence and indefinite lifespans, and the unenhanced naturals. This would create a form of biological inequality far more profound and permanent than any economic inequality we see today, potentially leading to new and terrifying forms of social conflict and oppression. There are also deep questions about identity and the self. If you gradually replace parts of your brain with neural prosthetics or augment your memory with a digital implant, at what point do you cease to be you? This is the ship of Theseus paradox applied to our own minds. What would an indefinite lifespan do to our psychology, our relationships, our sense of meaning? Would a life without the horizon of death lose its urgency and its savor? Furthermore, there is the risk of unintended consequences. Our biology is an incredibly complex, interconnected system that has been fine-tuned over millions of years. Attempting to upgrade one part of it could have disastrous, unforeseen effects on other parts. Enhancing our intelligence might make us more prone to existential despair. Eliminating our capacity for sadness might also eliminate our capacity for deep joy. The transhumanist project is an experiment of the highest possible stakes, one that, if it goes wrong, could have irreversible consequences. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to gently hold this vision of a transformed humanity. Picture a future where the frailties of the biological body have been overcome, where the mind is seamlessly integrated with technology, where our emotional landscape is a matter of choice. Contemplate the immense promise and the profound peril of this vision. Does it represent the next logical step in our evolution, the dawn of a new and glorious chapter of existence? Or does it represent a dangerous departure from our essential nature? Let go of the need for a simple answer. Find deep relaxation in the sheer mind-expanding scale of this speculation. Acknowledge the profound human drive to transcend our limits, to reach for the stars, to become more than what we are, resting peacefully, floating calmly in the vast, unknown, and deeply mysterious ocean of our own potential future. The ethics of genetic engineering and CRISPR. Having contemplated the broad vision of transhumanism, let us now focus on one of the most powerful and immediate tools that could bring that future into being, a technology that allows us to directly edit the very source code of life. We will explore the profound ethics of genetic engineering, with a particular focus on the revolutionary gene editing technology known as CRISPR. The ability to precisely alter the DNA of living organisms, including our own, holds the promise of eliminating devastating genetic diseases and improving human health in ways we could once only dream of. But it also opens a Pandora's box of complex and deeply unsettling ethical dilemmas. Where do we draw the line between therapy and enhancement? What are the risks of altering the human gene pool? And who gets to decide what constitutes a better human being? The mystery of how we should wield this godlike power is one of the most urgent and consequential challenges facing the future of humanity. This is a mindfuck that questions our roles as creators and the very definition of what is natural, inviting deep relaxation through a calm and considered exploration of the moral landscape of our own biology as you fall asleep. Let's begin by understanding the power of a technology like CRISPR-Cas9. It is often described as a pair of molecular scissors that can be programmed to find a specific sequence of DNA in an organism's genome, make a precise cut, and then either delete that gene or replace it with a new piece of DNA. This technology is far cheaper, faster, and more precise than previous methods of genetic engineering, and it has already revolutionized biological research. Its therapeutic potential is immense. Scientists are currently exploring its use to cure a host of devastating genetic diseases, such as sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis, and Huntington's disease. This is often referred to as somatic gene therapy, where the genetic changes are made in the body cells of an individual patient and are not passed on to their children. Most ethicists agree that using this technology for therapeutic purposes, to cure disease and alleviate suffering, is a profound moral good. The ethical dilemmas intensify dramatically, however, when we consider two major shifts. The first is the shift from therapy to enhancement. What if we use this technology not just to cure diseases, but to enhance normal human traits? For example, if we can use it to correct a gene that causes intellectual disability, could we also use it to enhance normal intelligence? If we can strengthen muscles in patients with muscular dystrophy, could we also use it to create athletes with superhuman strength? Where is the line between treating a disease and enhancing a normal trait? This line is often blurry. Is short stature a normal variation or a condition to be treated? Is a predisposition to anxiety a part of the human condition or a disorder to be edited out? The use of genetic engineering for enhancement raises the specter of a new biologically based class system, a future of gene-rich and gene-poor individuals, a scenario that many find deeply dystopian. The second, and even more profound, ethical shift is the move to germline genetic modification. This involves making genetic changes to reproductive cells, sperm, eggs, or early-stage embryos. The crucial difference is that these changes would be heritable; they would be passed down to all future generations. While this could be a way to permanently eradicate a devastating genetic disease from a family lineage, it is also an act of immense and irreversible consequence. We would be altering not just one individual, but the very course of human evolution. This is a threshold of profound significance. In 2018, the world was shocked by the announcement that a scientist in China had done just this, creating the first gene-edited babies. The act was met with widespread international condemnation, highlighting the deep unease and the lack of scientific and ethical consensus surrounding this technology. The mindfuck of germline genetic engineering is the sheer weight of the responsibility it places on our shoulders. It forces us to ask, what right do we have to make permanent changes to the human gene pool? What are the unforeseen consequences? Our understanding of the genome is still in its infancy. Genes are part of a complex, interconnected network. Altering one gene to achieve a desired effect could have unintended and potentially disastrous side effects that might only become apparent generations later. Are we wise enough to safely edit the product of 3.5 billion years of evolution? This questions our very competence to wield such power. The psychology mystery at play is how we, as a society, will navigate these choices. The debate is often polarized between two powerful camps. On one side are the bioconservatives, who argue for caution and restraint. They often appeal to the dignity of human nature, arguing that we should not tamper with the given lottery of life. They worry about the dangers of hubris, the risks of unintended consequences, and the creation of a post-human society with new forms of inequality. On the other side are the techno-progressives or transhumanists, who argue that we have a moral obligation to use these technologies to improve the human condition, to alleviate suffering, and to enhance our capabilities. They see the refusal to use these tools to cure disease as an irrational and immoral surrender to the blind, often cruel process of natural evolution. This is not a simple debate with easy answers. It involves a deep conflict of values: safety versus progress, humility versus ambition, acceptance versus improvement. The decisions we make about the ethics of genetic engineering in the coming decades will profoundly shape the future of humanity. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to gently hold the immense and complex power of genetic engineering. Picture the beautiful, intricate double helix of DNA, the source code of life, and imagine the tiny molecular scissors of CRISPR capable of rewriting that code. Contemplate the profound promise of curing devastating diseases, and the equally profound peril of unintended consequences and a new era of biological inequality. You do not need to choose a side in this complex debate. Instead, find deep relaxation in acknowledging its gravity, its importance. Trust in the ongoing human conversation, the collective process of scientists, ethicists, and citizens grappling with these immense questions, resting peacefully, with a quiet hope that we will find the wisdom to navigate this powerful new technology with compassion, caution, and a deep respect for the profound mystery of life itself. The future of consciousness, mind uploading. We have just contemplated the possibility of rewriting the biological source code of our bodies. Let us now explore an even more radical, more speculative, and more profoundly reality-bending vision of the future of humanity, a vision that promises to sever the ancient bond between mind and body altogether. We will now delve into the futuristic concept of mind uploading. This is the hypothetical process of scanning the entire informational content of a human brain, the precise state of its every neuron, every synapse, every connection, and transferring or uploading this data into a digital substrate such as a powerful computer or a robotic body. In theory, this would allow an individual's consciousness, their memories, their personality, their very self, to continue to exist in a digital form long after their biological body has died. This is the ultimate dream of digital immortality, a technological pathway to transcending the frailties and finitude of our flesh. It is a profound mindfuck that questions the very nature of identity, death, and what it means to be a person. The mystery of whether such a feat is even possible, and what it would truly mean for our existence, is one of the deepest and most challenging questions we can ask about our long-term future. Let's begin by considering the technological challenge, which is, by any measure, immense. The human brain is an object of staggering complexity, with around 86 billion neurons forming some 100 trillion synaptic connections. To achieve mind uploading, we would first need to develop scanning technology capable of mapping this entire connectome with perfect atom-for-atom precision. This is a task far beyond our current capabilities. Second, we would need to create a complete and accurate computational model of how a neuron works, including all its complex neurochemical and potentially quantum mechanical processes. Third, we would need a computer powerful enough to simulate this entire, vast network in real time, faithfully replicating the dynamic processes that give rise to consciousness. While the hurdles are enormous, some futurists like Ray Kurzweil believe that given the exponential growth of scanning and computational power, these challenges might be overcome within the next century. But let us, for the sake of our contemplation, assume that the technology becomes possible. This is where the truly profound philosophical paradoxes begin. The most central of these is the problem of personal identity, which we've touched upon in other contexts but which becomes acutely focused here. If you were to upload your mind, is the resulting digital entity truly you? Or is it merely a perfect copy of you? Consider two scenarios. In the destructive, uploading scenario, your biological brain is scanned and destroyed in the process of creating the digital version. The digital mind wakes up, has all your memories, feels exactly like you, and insists that it is you. From its perspective, the transition was seamless. But did you survive? Or did you die, and a sophisticated digital ghost, a perfect replica, was simply created in your place? Now consider the non-destructive scenario. Your brain is scanned and a perfect digital copy is created, but your original biological self remains alive and well. You now have two conscious beings, both of whom have an equal claim to being you. They share the same past, the same memories, the same personality, right up to the moment of the scan. Which one is the real you? Is it the one made of flesh and blood or the one made of bits and data? This is a version of Parfit's teleporter problem. Philosopher Derek Parfit argued that what matters in survival is not necessarily strict, one-to-one personal identity, but what he called relation are, psychological continuity and connectedness. In this view, both the original you and the copy have survived in the way that matters most. But this deeply violates our intuition that we are a single, unique individual. The idea of a copy of us continuing on after our death might be a comfort to others, but would it be a comfort to us as we face our own cessation? The mindfuck of mind uploading is its complete demolition of our intuitive sense of self. It forces us to ask, what am I really? Am I my body? Am I my brain? Or am I just a pattern of information? If I am a pattern, then in principle, that pattern can be copied, transferred, and run on different substrates. The idea of a unique, singular soul, or self, seems to dissolve into the concept of a transportable, reproducible data file. This questions the very foundations of our identity. The psychology mystery lies in the nature of consciousness itself. The entire premise of mind uploading rests on the computational theory of mind and the idea of substrate independence. The belief that consciousness is a process of information handling that can be replicated on any sufficiently powerful computational system. If consciousness is not computational, if it is an irreducible and unique property of biological brains, then mind uploading is impossible. The upload would be a perfect philosophical zombie, an incredibly sophisticated AI that perfectly mimics your personality and behavior but has no inner, subjective experience at all. The debate over mind uploading is, at its core, a debate about the hard problem of consciousness. Let's imagine for a moment what existence as an uploaded mind might be like. It could be a form of paradise. You could live in any virtual reality you could imagine, with a body that never ages or feels pain. You could travel the cosmos at the speed of light as a pure data stream. You could merge your mind with others or with vast AIs to form new kinds of collective consciousness. You could experience 1 billion lifetimes, learning and growing in ways that are unimaginable to us now. The potential for flourishing seems infinite. But there are also dystopian possibilities. As a piece of software, you could be copied, edited, or deleted against your will. You could be enslaved, forced to run on slow hardware, or trapped in a virtual hell. Your sense of time could be manipulated. 1,000 years of subjective suffering could be simulated in a single minute of real time. The ethics of a world with digital minds are profoundly complex and fraught with peril. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to float in this strange digital future. Contemplate your own sense of self, your own consciousness. Is it tied to the warm, biological reality of your brain? Or is it a pattern of information, a complex dance of data that could, in principle, be copied, transferred, and given a new, eternal life in a different medium? Let go of your attachment to your physical form, and consider the profound mystery of your own informational essence. Find deep relaxation in the sheer mind-expanding scale of this idea. The possibility of transcending biology, of becoming a being of pure thought, resting peacefully, floating calmly in the vast, speculative, and profoundly transformative future of consciousness itself. The future of reality, virtual worlds, and the metaverse. Having contemplated the profound and perhaps distant possibility of uploading our entire consciousness into a digital realm, let us now turn to a more immediate and tangible step in that direction, a technological and social shift that is already beginning to reshape our lives. We will explore the future of reality itself, as we increasingly spend our time, our attention, and our emotional lives within virtual worlds and the metaverse. A virtual world is a computer-simulated environment, often a three-dimensional one, that users can inhabit and interact with through avatars. The metaverse is the vision of a persistent, interconnected, and collective virtual shared space, a kind of successor to the mobile internet, where our digital and physical lives seamlessly merge. The development of these immersive digital realities is not just a new form of entertainment, it is a profound philosophical and psychological experiment. It questions the very definition of reality, place, and social interaction. The mindfuck lies in recognizing that for future generations, the distinction between the physical world and the virtual world may become increasingly blurred, and perhaps even irrelevant. Contemplating this shift in the very fabric of human experience can be a source of deep, speculative relaxation as you fall asleep. Let's begin by understanding what makes the vision of the metaverse different from the internet or the video games we have today. The key concepts are persistence and interoperability. A persistent virtual world is one that continues to exist and evolve even when you are not logged in. Your virtual property remains where you left it. Events continue to unfold. An interoperable metaverse would be a network of many such worlds, where you could, in theory, take your same digital identity, your avatar, and your virtual possessions seamlessly from one experience to another, much like you can navigate from one website to another in a single browser. It is the vision of a single, unified, and immersive digital layer of existence. The technology to make this vision a reality is rapidly advancing. Virtual reality (VR) and augmented reality (AR) headsets are becoming more powerful, more comfortable, and more accessible. They promise to replace our flat screens with fully immersive, three-dimensional experiences. Haptic feedback technology, which allows you to feel virtual objects, is becoming more sophisticated. The goal of this technology is to achieve a state of presence, the powerful, subjective feeling of actually being in the virtual space, rather than just looking at it on a screen. As these technologies mature, we will likely see more and more of our daily activities migrate into these virtual worlds. Socializing with friends and family who are geographically distant could happen not through a video call, but by meeting as avatars in a shared virtual space. Work and education could be transformed, with virtual offices and classrooms allowing for more immersive and collaborative experiences. Entertainment, of course, would be a major driver, with the creation of virtual theme parks, concert venues, and narrative experiences that are far more interactive and immersive than any film or game today. Commerce will also be a key component, with the buying and selling of virtual goods, land, and services forming a vast new digital economy. The psychology mystery of this coming era is how it will reshape our sense of self, our relationships, and our very perception of reality. Our brains are remarkably plastic. We have already seen how the rubber hand illusion can make us feel ownership over a fake limb. What will happen to our sense of a real body when we spend hours a day inhabiting a customizable, idealized, and perhaps non-humanoid avatar? The mindfuck is that our brain might begin to accept our virtual self as being just as real, or in some cases, even more real and important than our physical self. Our identity could become more tied to our digital persona, our online reputation, and our virtual possessions than to our physical existence. This questions the very foundation of what it means to be an embodied being. This shift has profound implications. On one hand, it offers incredible possibilities for self-expression and connection. An individual who is shy or feels constrained by their physical appearance in the real world might find a new sense of freedom and confidence in the form of their avatar. People with disabilities could experience forms of mobility and interaction in a virtual world that are impossible for them in the physical one. It could foster a new kind of global community, connecting people across physical and cultural boundaries in deeply shared, immersive experiences. On the other hand, the potential for darkness and a new form of psychological evil is immense. The metaverse could become the ultimate echo chamber, allowing people to retreat entirely into realities that perfectly conform to their biases and beliefs, never having to encounter a dissenting view. It could be a powerful tool for social control and surveillance, a digital panopticon, where every action and interaction is monitored and monetized by the corporations or governments that own the platforms. The problems of online harassment, misinformation, and addiction that we see today could be amplified to an unimaginable degree in a fully immersive virtual world. The distinction between a virtual utopia and a digital dystopia is a very fine line. Furthermore, what is the nature of reality in a world where a significant portion of human experience takes place in a corporate-owned, artificially constructed space? We would be living in a consensual hallucination, a reality whose fundamental laws are not the laws of physics, but the terms of service of a tech company. The very fabric of our perceived existence would be privatized. This is a profound philosophical shift, a ceding of the very ground of reality to an external, commercial entity. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to drift into this potential future. Imagine putting on a pair of glasses and seeing the world overlaid with a rich layer of digital information. Imagine meeting a friend, not in a cafe, but as avatars on a simulated moonscape. Contemplate the profound blurring of the lines between the physical and the virtual, the real and the digital. Acknowledge the immense creative and connective potential of these new worlds, and at the same time, hold a gentle awareness of their potential for isolation, control, and a new kind of unreality. Find deep relaxation in the understanding that, for now, you are here, in this physical reality, in this embodied moment. Appreciate the simple, direct sensations of your own body and your immediate environment, resting peacefully, grounded in the quiet, authentic reality of the present, before the great and perhaps inevitable merger with the virtual begins. The end of work, automation, and universal basic income. For the entirety of human history, the concept of work has been central to our lives. It has been our primary means of survival, a source of social status, a structure for our days, and for many, a core part of our identity and sense of purpose. Let us now contemplate a future of humanity where this fundamental pillar of our existence may be radically transformed, or even eliminated altogether. We will explore the societal impact of advanced automation and artificial intelligence, and the profound economic and philosophical questions they raise, leading us to consider radical solutions like universal basic income (UBI). The possibility of the end of work as we know it is a deep and disruptive mind fuck, questioning our very definitions of value, contribution, and a meaningful life. This is not a dystopian vision of unemployment, but a speculative glimpse into a potential post-work, post-scarcity utopia, and the immense psychological and social challenges of getting there. Contemplating this shift can be a source of profound deep relaxation as you fall asleep. The driving force behind this potential transformation is the accelerating pace of automation. In the past, automation primarily affected manual and routine labor. The Industrial Revolution replaced the labor of artisans with machines and factories. In the 20th century, computers and robots began to automate clerical and manufacturing tasks. However, the current wave of artificial intelligence is different. AI is beginning to automate not just physical and routine tasks, but also complex, cognitive, and even creative tasks that were once thought to be the exclusive domain of humans. AI can now diagnose medical scans, write legal documents, compose music, create art, and even write computer code. As this technology continues to develop, it is plausible that a vast and ever-increasing range of human jobs will become automated. This is not just about factory workers and truck drivers. It could eventually include radiologists, paralegals, accountants, graphic designers, and many other professions in the knowledge economy. If AI can perform these tasks more cheaply, more efficiently, and more accurately than humans, a purely capitalist market will inevitably favor the automation of these roles. This leads to a profound economic mystery. In a world where most or all human labor is no longer necessary, how does the economic system function? How do people earn an income to survive if there are no jobs? This is the central challenge that leads to the concept of universal basic income. UBI is a policy proposal in which all citizens of a country regularly receive an unconditional sum of money from the government, regardless of their employment status, wealth, or willingness to work. It is universal, basic, and unconditional. In a future of mass automation, UBI is proposed as a potential solution to ensure that everyone has the basic resources to live, even if they do not have a traditional job. The wealth generated by the incredibly productive AI and robotic economy would be taxed and then redistributed to the entire population. This idea, while once on the fringes, is now being seriously debated by economists, technologists, and policymakers around the world. It is seen by some as a pragmatic and necessary adaptation to a changing economic reality. However, it also raises immense practical and philosophical questions. How would we pay for it? How would it affect inflation? And perhaps most profoundly, how would it affect human psychology and our search for meaning? The mindfuck of the end of work is that it challenges a belief that is deeply ingrained in the psyche of many modern cultures. The work ethic, the idea that hard work is a moral virtue and that our value as individuals is tied to our economic productivity. For centuries, our answer to the question, "What do you do?" has been our job title. In a post-work world, how would we answer that question? How would we structure our days? How would we find a sense of purpose, of contribution, of identity, if not through our careers? This is the central psychological challenge of a potential UBI-funded, post-work future. For some, it might be a utopia. It would be a new Athenian age where humans are freed from the drudgery of labor to pursue their true passions: art, science, philosophy, community, relationships, play. It would be an age of unprecedented creativity and human flourishing. People could spend their lives learning, exploring, creating, and caring for one another, their basic needs secured by the automated economy. For others, however, this future could be a dystopia of boredom, apathy, and meaninglessness. If our sense of purpose is so deeply tied to the feeling of being needed, of overcoming challenges, and of contributing to a collective enterprise, would a life of pure leisure lead to a collective existential crisis? Would we descend into a state of passive consumption, entertained to death by virtual realities as depicted in some science fiction stories? The mystery is whether humanity, on a mass scale, is psychologically prepared for a life without the structure and purpose that work has traditionally provided. The transition itself would be fraught with immense social and political challenges. It would require a fundamental rethinking of our economic systems, our social safety nets, and our very concept of a productive life. It questions the foundations of capitalism and socialism, suggesting that we might need entirely new economic models for a world of automated abundance. As you continue to fall asleep, Allow your mind to drift into this strange and speculative future. A world without jobs, a world where the necessity of labor has been overcome by the power of automation. Imagine your own life in this world, your basic needs met by a universal basic income. How would you spend your days? What would give your life meaning and purpose? Would it be a time of creative flourishing or of existential drift? Let go of the anxieties of our current work-obsessed world, and also let go of the need for a simple answer about this potential future. Find deep relaxation in the sheer, mind-expanding scale of this possibility, the idea that the entire human relationship with labor, a relationship that has defined our existence for millennia, might be on the verge of a profound and fundamental transformation. Resting peacefully, contemplating the deep and challenging questions of what it means to live a meaningful life in a world beyond work. The colonization of space, becoming a multiplanetary species. Having contemplated the profound transformations that may occur here on Earth, let us now lift our gaze once more to the starry night sky and consider one of the most audacious and inspiring dreams for the future of humanity, the colonization of space. This is the idea that for our long-term survival and flourishing, humanity cannot remain confined to its terrestrial cradle, but must venture out to become a multiplanetary species, establishing self-sustaining colonies on the Moon, on Mars, and eventually, perhaps, beyond our solar system. This is more than just a technological challenge. It is a profound philosophical and evolutionary step. It is a vision that taps into our deepest instincts for exploration, our desire for a frontier, and our yearning for a form of species-level immortality. The mindfuck is the sheer, staggering scale of the ambition and the profound questions it raises about our identity, our purpose, and our ultimate destiny in the cosmos. Contemplating this grand outward journey can be a source of profound awe and deep relaxation as you fall asleep. The primary motivation for space colonization is often framed in terms of long-term survival. Our existence on Earth as a single-planet species is precarious. We are vulnerable to a host of existential risks. A large asteroid impact, a supervolcanic eruption, a global pandemic, a catastrophic war, or a runaway climate change event. As long as all of humanity is in one basket, we are always just one catastrophe away from total extinction. Establishing a second self-sustaining human outpost on another world like Mars would be the ultimate insurance policy. It would mean that even if the worst were to happen on Earth, the flame of human consciousness and civilization would not be extinguished. It would be the single most important step we could take to ensure the long-term survival of our species. But the motivation goes deeper than just survival. It speaks to a fundamental part of the human spirit. For millennia we have been explorers. We spread out from Africa to populate every continent on Earth. We crossed vast oceans, climbed the highest mountains, and ventured into the most inhospitable environments. For a species like ours, the vast, unexplored frontier of space is the next logical step. It offers an almost infinite canvas for discovery, for adventure, and for the pursuit of knowledge. The desire to walk on another world, to understand the geology of Mars, to see the rings of Saturn up close, is a powerful expression of our innate curiosity. The technological challenges, of course, are immense. We would need to develop closed-loop life support systems that can operate for years without resupply from Earth. We would need to learn how to protect human bodies from the harsh radiation of deep space and the debilitating effects of low gravity. We would need to find ways to grow food, to extract water, and to manufacture materials using the resources available on another world, in situ resource utilization. We would need to develop new forms of propulsion to make the long journeys between planets more feasible. These are monumental engineering problems, but none of them seem to violate the fundamental laws of physics. They are challenges that, with sufficient will and resources, we could likely solve over the coming century. The psychology mystery and the mind-fuck of space colonization lie in what it would mean for our human identity. What would it be like to be born on Mars, to live your entire life under a pink sky, in a world where Earth is just a beautiful, distant blue star? Over generations, these off-world colonists would inevitably begin to diverge from Earthbound humanity. They would adapt to a different gravitational environment, which could lead to physiological changes. More profoundly, they would develop their own unique cultures, their own social norms, their own art, and their own relationship with their new home world. The very definition of human would begin to branch. We would no longer be a single planetary species, but a family of related but distinct spacefaring cultures. This raises profound questions. What kind of societies would we build on other worlds? Would we export our old conflicts, our tribalisms, our inequalities to the stars? Or would the shared challenge of surviving on a new frontier foster a new kind of cooperative and egalitarian spirit? The first Martian colony would be a unique opportunity to conduct a social experiment on a grand scale, a chance to try and build a better society from the ground up. The ethics of colonization are also complex. Do we have the right to terraform another world like Mars, to change its environment to make it more Earth-like, potentially destroying any native Martian microbial life that might exist? What are our responsibilities to the fragile ecosystems we would be creating? And who gets to go? Would space colonization be a project for all of humanity, or would it be the exclusive domain of the wealthiest nations or corporations, creating a new form of cosmic inequality? Contemplating the vast, long-term vision of space colonization provides a powerful sense of perspective. When we think on these timescales of centuries and millennia, of becoming a multiplanetary and eventually an interstellar species, our own immediate, present-day conflicts and anxieties can seem small and transient. It connects us to a grand, hopeful, and deeply meaningful narrative for the future of humanity. It is a story not of decline or stagnation, but of growth, exploration, and the expansion of life and consciousness into the silent, vast universe. As you continue to fall asleep, let your mind's eye pull back from the earth. See it as a single beautiful blue marble floating in the vast darkness, a precious, fragile cradle of life. Now, picture a tiny spark of that life, a human vessel, making the long, quiet journey across the darkness to the red plains of Mars. Imagine the first footprint in the red dust, the first human city under a domed sky. Contemplate the immense courage, the incredible ingenuity, and the profound hope that such a journey represents. Let go of the small terrestrial concerns of the day. Find deep relaxation in this vast cosmic perspective, in the idea that our story is not confined to this one world, but may one day be written across the stars. Resting peacefully, a child of Earth, dreaming of a boundless multiplanetary future. The search for extraterrestrial life, SETI. As we contemplate our own potential future among the stars, we are inevitably confronted by a profound and humbling silence. We look out into a cosmos containing billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, and we see no definitive sign of anyone else. This brings us to one of the most significant and scientifically grounded endeavors in our quest to understand our place in the universe: the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI. For over half a century, astronomers have been systematically scanning the skies, listening with radio telescopes for a signal, a message, a single, unambiguous whisper from another technological civilization. So far, the search has yielded only what has been called the Great Silence. This ongoing quest is more than just a scientific project. It is a deep philosophical and psychological undertaking. It is a search for cosmic context, for a confirmation that we are not alone in our consciousness. The mystery of the silence, as we've seen with the Fermi Paradox, is profound. But the act of searching itself is a testament to our species' deep-seated curiosity and our yearning for connection. Contemplating this great, patient listening is a pathway to a unique form of cosmic relaxation as you fall asleep. Let's begin by understanding the logic and the methods of SETI. The core assumption is that another intelligent civilization, if it exists and wishes to be found, might use a form of communication that we can detect across the vast distances of interstellar space. The most logical and energy-efficient candidate for this is radio waves. Radio waves travel at the speed of light and can pass relatively unimpeded through the dust and gas of the galaxy. A technologically advanced civilization could, in theory, build powerful transmitters to broadcast a deliberate, artificial signal. The challenge for SETI researchers is immense. They must listen across a vast range of frequencies, scanning millions of stars, and then sift through an incredible amount of natural cosmic radio noise to find a single, artificial-seeming signal. What would such a signal look like? It would likely be narrowband, confined to a very specific narrow frequency, unlike the broad, messy static of natural radio sources like pulsars or quasars. It might also contain a clear, mathematical pattern, a sequence of prime numbers, for example, or a complex, information-rich modulation that could not be produced by any known natural process. The discovery of such a signal would be, without exaggeration, the single most important discovery in human history. The modern search is incredibly sophisticated. Projects like the Allen Telescope Array and Breakthrough Listen use arrays of radio telescopes, linked together and coordinated by powerful computers, to scan millions of star systems simultaneously across billions of radio channels. The data they collect is so vast that much of the analysis is distributed to volunteers around the world through projects like SETI at home, creating a global, collective effort to listen to the cosmos. Beyond passive SETI, just listening, there is also the more controversial concept of active SETI, or METI, messaging to extraterrestrial intelligence. This involves deliberately broadcasting powerful messages from Earth out into the cosmos, aimed at promising star systems, in the hope of eliciting a reply. This is a more proactive approach, but it is also fraught with peril. This brings us back to the dark forest solution to the Fermi Paradox. The idea that the universe is silent because advanced civilizations know it is wise to stay hidden from potential cosmic predators. Critics of active SETI argue that broadcasting our existence to the galaxy before we know who or what might be out there is an act of profound and reckless naivety. The debate between listening and shouting is a deep and ongoing one within the scientific community. The mindfuck of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence lies in the profound implications of either outcome. If the search succeeds, if we one day detect an unambiguous signal from another civilization, our entire worldview would be shattered and rebuilt in an instant. We would know for the first time that we are not alone. This discovery would have a profound impact on our science, our religions, our philosophies, and our sense of self. It would provide a new external reference point for understanding our own humanity. We would have another intelligence to compare ourselves to learn from, and perhaps to fear. The future of humanity would become a story of interspecies diplomacy on a cosmic scale. But the implications of continued failure, of a perpetually silent universe, are just as profound. If we continue to search for centuries and find nothing, it would lend increasing weight to the idea that we are truly, fundamentally alone, that conscious technological intelligence is an incredibly rare, perhaps unique, phenomenon in our galaxy. This is the conclusion of the rare Earth hypothesis, which suggests that while simple life might be common, the specific, long chain of improbable events that led to human-level intelligence is a cosmic fluke. If this is true, it places an almost unbearable weight of responsibility on our shoulders. It would mean that the small flicker of consciousness on this planet is the only thing in this vast sector of the cosmos that is aware of its beauty and its mystery. It would mean that if we fail, if we succumb to our own great filter, a universe of potential experience might be lost forever. The psychology mystery of SETI is the deep motivation that drives it. Why do we spend so much time, effort, and resources listening for a signal that may never come? It speaks to a profound and perhaps uniquely human loneliness. It is an expression of our deep, subconscious yearning for connection, for confirmation that our own inner world of thought and feeling is not an isolated anomaly in a dead universe. It is the existential cry of, "Is anybody out there?" projected onto a cosmic scale. The act of searching is an act of hope, an affirmation that we believe connection is possible and that the universe is not fundamentally empty. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind's ear to expand, to join the great radio telescopes of Earth as they patiently listen to the silent symphony of the stars. Hear the gentle hiss of the cosmic microwave background, the distant pulse of a spinning neutron star, the faint static of ancient galaxies. And listen within that cosmic noise for the possibility of a single coherent signal, a whisper from another mind across the vast ocean of space. Contemplate the two profound possibilities that this search represents. A universe teeming with other intelligences or a universe in which we are utterly and completely alone. Both possibilities are equally awe-inspiring, equally terrifying, and equally transformative. Find deep relaxation not in the promise of an answer, but in the profound peace of the question itself, in the quiet, patient, and hopeful act of listening to the great, silent cosmos. First contact scenarios, the philosophical implications. Having contemplated the long and silent search for extraterrestrial intelligence, let us now engage in a profound act of speculation. Let us imagine that the search succeeds. A signal is detected. It is unambiguous, complex, and clearly artificial. We are no longer alone. What happens next? This is the realm of first contact scenarios. The moment of first contact would be the single most significant event in human history, a moment that would divide our past from our future in the most fundamental way. But how would humanity react? What would be the philosophical implications of this discovery? Exploring these scenarios is not just a science fiction exercise, it is a deep psychological and philosophical probe into our own nature, our fears, our hopes, and our readiness to confront the ultimate other. This is a mind fuck that questions our place in the universe by forcing us to imagine a new one, inviting deep relaxation through a calm and measured exploration of a world forever changed as you fall asleep. The initial impact of a confirmed signal would be a wave of pure, unprecedented awe and shock. Our cosmic solitude would be broken. Our entire worldview across all cultures would need to be fundamentally revised. For science, it would be a moment of unparalleled triumph and challenge. We would have a new data point, a second instance of life and intelligence, allowing us to begin a truly comparative biology, sociology, and linguistics. But it would also be a moment of profound humility, as we would almost certainly be the junior partners in this conversation. Any civilization capable of interstellar communication is likely to be thousands, if not millions, of years more advanced than we are. Their science, their mathematics, their understanding of reality, would likely be as far beyond ours is beyond that of a Stone Age human. We would be the infants of the galaxy, suddenly confronted with the existence of adults. The religious and spiritual implications would be immense and unpredictable. For some religious traditions, the discovery of other intelligent beings might be easily integrated. For others, it could pose a profound theological crisis. Religious frameworks that place humanity at the absolute center of a divine creation story would need to be radically reinterpreted. Would these new beings have their own gods, their own religions, their own path to salvation? The discovery could lead to a flowering of new, more universalist spiritualities, or it could trigger a defensive, fundamentalist backlash. The concept of God and creation would be debated with a new and desperate urgency. The political and social impact would be equally transformative. The moment of first contact could be a powerful unifying force for humanity. In the face of a truly alien them, our own petty national and ethnic divisions might suddenly seem absurd. We might, for the first time, truly begin to think and act as a single species, as Earthlings. This is the hopeful vision. But there is also a darker possibility. The contact could become a new source of conflict. Nations might compete to control the communication, to gain access to the advanced technology or knowledge. The message itself could contain dangerous ideas that destabilize our societies. And, of course, there is the question of the aliens' intentions. This is the central mystery and the source of our deepest anxieties about first contact. Are they benevolent explorers, malevolent conquerors, or beings so alien that their motives are completely inscrutable? This is a variation of the dark forest hypothesis we've touched upon. The history of contact between different human civilizations on Earth has often been a tragic one of conquest, exploitation, and the destruction of the less technologically advanced culture by the more powerful one. Would a cosmic contact be any different? Stephen Hawking famously warned against actively broadcasting our presence, cautioning that an advanced civilization might view us as a lesser life form to be exploited or eliminated, much as we view bacteria. The mindfuck of first contact is the sheer vertigo-inducing scale of the unknown. We would be confronting a mind and a history that has evolved in a completely different biosphere, under a different sun. Their biology, their psychology, their values, their art, all could be profoundly, unimaginably alien. Would we even be able to understand each other? The problem of interspecies communication would be taken to its ultimate extreme. Would their language even be recognizable as such? It might be based on telepathy, on complex mathematical structures, on the manipulation of light or chemistry. The very attempt to communicate would be a profound philosophical and scientific challenge. Even a seemingly benign contact could have devastating consequences. Imagine they share with us their Encyclopedia Galactica, the sum total of their knowledge. Could our societies handle such a massive influx of information? Our economies could be shattered by the revelation of advanced energy or manufacturing technologies. Our cultures could be overwhelmed by their art and philosophy. The discovery that our own scientific theories are primitive or just plain wrong could lead to a crisis of confidence. A flood of advanced knowledge, even if freely given, could be a form of cultural annihilation. Contemplating these scenarios forces us to hold up a mirror to ourselves. Our hopes and fears about aliens are often projections of our own best and worst qualities. We fear the conqueror because we have been conquerors. We hope for the wise teacher because we yearn for wisdom. The question of, what are they like? Is inextricably linked to the question of, what are we like? The challenge of first contact is as much a challenge of self-understanding as it is of understanding the alien. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to float in the vast, silent space between the stars. Imagine a single coherent signal being detected, a message from another mind. Feel the immense, world-changing gravity of that moment, a moment when human history would pivot forever. Contemplate the spectrum of possibilities that would unfold, from a golden age of enlightenment and peace, to an era of fear and conflict. Let go of the need for a single, certain outcome. The mystery of the other is the ultimate unknown. Find deep relaxation in the profound humility this thought experiment brings, in the recognition of our small and perhaps not so lonely place in the grand cosmic conversation. Resting peacefully, open to a future far larger, stranger, and more profound than we can currently imagine. The distant future of Earth. We have spent much of our journey tonight looking outwards to the stars and forwards into the technological future of humanity. Let us now return our focus to our home, our cradle, our single blue marble floating in the cosmic void. Let us contemplate the distant future of Earth. Our planet has been our constant companion, the stable stage upon which our entire evolutionary drama has unfolded. But it is not a static object. Earth itself is a dynamic system with its own vast, slow, and powerful life cycle. What will our world look like in thousands, millions, or even billions of years? And what will be humanity's role in shaping that future? This exploration into deep geological and astronomical time is a profound mind fuck, questioning our sense of permanence and revealing our own fleeting moment on this ancient planet. Contemplating these immense timescales is a powerful exercise in humility, a pathway to deep relaxation through a radical expansion of our temporal perspective as you fall asleep. Let's begin by looking at the more immediate, human-driven future. The next few centuries of Earth's story will be overwhelmingly defined by our own actions. We are now in a new geological epoch, the Anthropocene, where human activity has become the dominant force shaping the planet's geology and ecosystems. Our current challenge, of course, is climate change. The path we choose in the coming decades will dramatically alter the face of the Earth for millennia. In a business-as-usual scenario, we can expect rising sea levels that will inundate coastal cities, more extreme weather events, shifts in agricultural zones, and a mass extinction event that could rival those of the deep past. The Earth of a few centuries from now could be a hotter, more volatile, and less biodiverse planet. This is a sobering but necessary starting point for any realistic contemplation of our future. However, if humanity successfully navigates this challenge, perhaps through a transition to clean energy, carbon capture technologies, and a more sustainable global economy, a different future is possible. In this more hopeful scenario, we might become the conscious, responsible stewards of Earth's biosphere. This could involve large-scale geoengineering projects to stabilize the climate. It might involve ecological restoration on a massive scale, rewilding vast areas of the planet and perhaps even using genetic engineering to bring back extinct species in a kind of Pleistocene park. In this future, humanity's role would shift from being a disruptive force to being the planet's gardener, its conscious, regulating intelligence. This is the dream of a wise Anthropocene. Let us now zoom out beyond the timescale of human civilizations, into the vastness of geological time. Over tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, the Earth's own natural rhythms will reassert themselves. The planet's orbit and tilt will continue to undergo subtle, predictable shifts known as Milankovitch cycles. These cycles are the primary drivers of the Great Ice Ages. Regardless of our current warming over these longer timescales, it is almost certain that the planet will once again enter periods of glaciation, with massive ice sheets advancing and retreating over the continents, completely reshaping the landscape. The coastlines we know today are temporary. The climate we experience is just a brief, warm interglacial period. On the scale of millions of years, plate tectonics will become the dominant force. The continents are in constant, slow motion. In about 50 million years, Africa will continue its slow collision with Europe, closing the Mediterranean Sea and creating a mountain range rivaling the Himalayas. In about 250 million years, the continents are predicted to once again merge into a new supercontinent, a Pangaea Ultima. The very map of the world is a fleeting configuration. This future Earth, with its vast new mountain ranges and massive single ocean, would have a climate and an evolutionary trajectory completely alien to our own. As we look even further into the distant future, the mystery deepens and the scale becomes astronomical. Our Sun, like all stars, has a finite lifespan. It is currently in its stable middle age, but it is slowly and steadily getting brighter. In about 600 million to a billion years, The sun's increasing luminosity will likely become so intense that it triggers a moist greenhouse effect on Earth. The oceans will begin to boil away, and the planet's surface will become far too hot to support liquid water. This marks the end of Earth's habitable period for complex, water-based life as we know it. Any human or post-human descendants would have to have abandoned the planet or retreated to engineered habitats long before this point. The sun's final act will begin in about 5 billion years. Having exhausted the hydrogen fuel in its core, it will swell into a red giant. Its outer layers will expand enormously, likely engulfing the inner planets, including Mercury, Venus, and almost certainly the Earth. Our planet will be vaporized, its constituent atoms absorbed back into the star that gave it life. After this phase, the sun will shed its outer layers to form a beautiful planetary nebula, and its core will collapse into a dense, cooling white dwarf, a stellar ember that will slowly fade into darkness over trillions of years. This is the ultimate, inevitable fate of our home world. The mindfuck of contemplating this deep future is its profound reframing of our own significance. All of human history, all our triumphs and tragedies, our art, our science, our empires, will eventually be erased, first by the slow work of ice and tectonics and finally by the expansion of the sun. This can be seen as a source of existential despair, a confirmation of our ultimate cosmic insignificance. But it can also be seen in a different light. It can be a source of profound humility. It reminds us that we are temporary guests on a planet with a life story that is vastly older and longer than our own. It can also be a powerful motivator for the grand project of space colonization. The only way for the legacy of Earth's life and consciousness to survive the death of the sun is to leave, to carry that legacy outwards into the galaxy. The ultimate task of humanity from this perspective is to act as the seed bearer for Earth's 4-billion-year-old experiment in life. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your sense of time to stretch and expand. Feel the ground beneath you not as solid and permanent, but as a slowly moving tectonic plate. Picture the coastlines of the world shifting over millions of years, the continents drifting together into a new, strange configuration. Imagine the sun billions of years from now slowly beginning to swell, its light growing warmer, then hotter, and finally see the Earth returning to the stellar dust from which it came. Let this immense, grand, and ultimately finite story of our planet wash over you. Do not see it as a tragedy but as a natural, cosmic cycle. Find deep relaxation in this vast perspective, in the knowledge that your own lifespan is a tiny, precious, and beautiful flicker in the immense, deep history of this world, resting peacefully, a temporary passenger on a beautiful blue ship, making its long, slow, and ultimately final journey through the cosmic ocean. The long-term fate of the universe, heat death, big rip. Having contemplated the ultimate fiery end of our own planet, let us now zoom out to the furthest possible future and confront the mystery of the long-term fate of the universe itself. Just as our solar system has a finite lifespan, the entire cosmos as we understand it is also on a one-way evolutionary path towards a final, ultimate state. Based on our current understanding of physics, particularly the accelerating expansion driven by dark energy, scientists have sketched out several possible scenarios for the end of everything. These are stories of unimaginable timescales and profound cosmic solitude. The most widely accepted of these scenarios is the heat death of the universe, but other, more dramatic possibilities like the Big Rip also exist. This is the ultimate mindfuck, the question of how the entire story of existence will end. Contemplating this ultimate future is not an exercise in despair, but the final and most profound act of cosmic perspective-taking, an invitation to a state of deep relaxation born from the quiet acceptance of cosmic finitude as you fall asleep. Let's begin with the most likely scenario, based on our current data. We observe that the universe is not only expanding, but that this expansion is accelerating. The mysterious force of dark energy seems to be a property of space itself, a constant repulsive force that is slowly but surely winning the cosmic tug-of-war against gravity. If dark energy is a stable cosmological constant, then this acceleration will continue forever. This leads to a long, slow, and lonely end known as the heat death or the Big Freeze. The story of the heat death unfolds over timescales so vast they defy human imagination. In the first few trillion years, the era of stars will come to an end. All the available gas for star formation will be used up. The stars themselves will one by one exhaust their fuel. Small stars like our sun will fade into white dwarfs. Massive stars will have long ago collapsed into neutron stars and black holes. The universe will become a much darker place, populated by these stellar remnants and rogue planets, all flying further and further apart as space continues to expand. The sky, as seen from any remaining object, will become almost completely black, as all other galaxies will have accelerated beyond our cosmic horizon, their light no longer able to reach us. Over even longer time scales, on the order of trillions upon trillions of years, the stellar remnants themselves will begin to decay. Planets will be ejected from their orbits. Even the protons and neutrons that make up matter itself might, according to some grand unified theories, eventually decay, causing all ordinary matter to dissolve into a thin soup of photons and leptons. The final actors on the cosmic stage will be the black holes. For an almost unimaginable length of time, the universe will be dominated by these silent, massive objects. But even they are not eternal. As we've explored, due to Hawking radiation, black holes slowly evaporate, radiating away their mass as a faint, random thermal energy. The most massive black holes will take an almost infinite amount of time to do so, perhaps as long as 10 to the power of 100 years. But eventually, the last black hole will evaporate in a final, faint flash of light. After this, the universe will enter its final state. It will be a vast, cold, dark, and almost perfectly uniform void, filled with a thin, near-zero energy gas of photons, neutrinos, and other elementary particles, all separated by immense distances. This is the state of maximum entropy, of ultimate thermodynamic equilibrium. In this state, no further complex processes can occur. There is no energy gradient to drive work. All structure, all complexity, all information has been degraded into random thermal noise. Time itself, in a meaningful directional sense, will have ceased to have any meaning. This is the heat death, a final, eternal, and profoundly silent peace. However, there are other, more violent possibilities for the end. If dark energy is not a constant, but a phantom energy that grows stronger over time, the universe could end in a big rip. In this scenario, the accelerating expansion would become so powerful that it would eventually overcome all other forces of nature. In the final moments of the universe, the repulsive force of dark energy would first pull galaxies apart, then solar systems. Then, it would be strong enough to overcome the gravity holding planets and stars together, and they would explode. In the very last fraction of a second, it would become strong enough to overcome the electromagnetic forces holding atoms together, and finally, the strong nuclear force holding atomic nuclei together. The very fabric of spacetime would be torn apart into its constituent, disconnected points. A third possibility, which is now considered unlikely given the evidence for acceleration, is that there is enough matter and energy in the universe for gravity to eventually halt the expansion and reverse it. This would lead to a big crunch, where the universe recollapses in on itself, becoming hotter and denser, ending in a final fiery singularity, a mirror image of the Big Bang. This opens the speculative possibility of a cyclical universe, with our big crunch becoming the Big Bang of the next cosmic cycle. The mindfuck of contemplating these ultimate fates is the sheer scale and finality of it all. It questions the very idea of ultimate purpose or lasting significance for anything within the cosmos. Every star, every galaxy, every work of art, every act of love, every civilization, all of it is destined to be eventually erased by the inexorable laws of physics, either through a slow fade into darkness or a sudden violent rip. It is the ultimate expression of cosmic indifference. So, how does humanity or any form of intelligence fit into this picture? The quest for a post-human or transhumanist future, for digital immortality or space colonization, is in a sense a race against this cosmic clock. Can intelligence find a way to survive the heat death? Some physicists and philosophers have speculated about the possibility of eternal life in an open universe, suggesting that a sufficiently advanced civilization might be able to hibernate, processing information and having subjective experiences at an ever-slowing rate to match the cooling of the universe, thereby achieving an infinite subjective lifespan within a finite amount of energy. This is, of course, pure speculation. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to journey into this impossibly distant future. See the last stars flicker and die, watch the final black hole slowly evaporate into the darkness, and feel the universe settle into a state of cold, silent, and eternal peace. The heat death. Or picture the terrifying acceleration of the Big Rip, the fabric of reality itself being torn apart. Do not feel fear or despair at these visions. Instead, see them as the final, inevitable act in the grand cosmic play. Find deep relaxation in this ultimate act of letting go. in the acceptance of the profound impermanence of all things, even the universe itself. This realization can be a source of profound peace, freeing us to find meaning not in permanence, but in the fleeting, precious, and beautiful moment of existence we are privileged to inhabit right now. Resting calmly, a tiny, temporary flicker of warmth and consciousness in a vast and ultimately finite cosmos. The future of human evolution. Are we still evolving? We have spent much of our journey tonight contemplating the profound ways our technology might shape the future of humanity. But what about the ancient, slow, and powerful force that created us in the first place? What is the future of our biological evolution? A common and comforting idea is that humanity has, in a sense, transcended this process. We have culture, we have technology, we have medicine. We have cushioned ourselves from the harsh pressures of natural selection. In this view, our physical and mental evolution has effectively stopped. But is this true? Or is evolution still quietly and invisibly shaping our species, perhaps in new and unexpected ways? And as we develop the power of genetic engineering, are we about to take the reins of this ancient process, becoming the conscious designers of our own evolutionary future? The question, are we still evolving? Is a deep psychology mystery and a profound biological inquiry. It is a mindfuck that questions our sense of being a finished product, revealing that we are not the end of the evolutionary story but a transitional chapter. Contemplating our own ongoing biological becoming can be a source of deep, grounding relaxation as you fall asleep. Let's begin by challenging the idea that evolution has stopped. The primary reason people believe this is that the engine of natural selection, survival of the fittest, seems to have been largely neutralized in modern human societies. In the past, individuals with genes that conferred a slight advantage in surviving to reproductive age, e.g., resistance to a particular disease, greater physical strength, would have more offspring, and those genes would spread through the population. Today, thanks to modern medicine, sanitation, and social safety nets, most people in developed nations, regardless of their genetic makeup, survive to have children. The intense selective pressures that drove our past evolution seem to have been dramatically weakened. However, this does not mean evolution has stopped. It simply means the selective pressures have changed. Evolution is not just about survival, it is about differential reproduction. Any heritable trait that, in our current environment, is correlated with having more children will, over time, become more common in the population. So, what kinds of traits are being selected for in our modern world? This is a complex and controversial question. Some studies have suggested that in some societies, certain personality traits might be linked to reproductive success. Others have pointed to genetic variants that confer resistance to modern diseases, like HIV or malaria, which are still powerful selective forces in many parts of the world. The development of lactose tolerance in adults, which evolved independently in several different populations after the domestication of cattle, is a powerful example of recent, rapid human evolution, showing how our own cultural innovations, dairy farming, can create new selective pressures. The process is certainly much slower and more subtle than it was in our deep past, but the engine of evolution has not been turned off. It continues to operate, quietly shaping our species in response to the new and unprecedented environments we have created for ourselves. Environments of dense cities, processed foods, and global connectivity. But the truly profound shift in our evolutionary future will not come from these slow, natural processes. It will come from our own hands. As we explored in the context of transhumanism, we are on the verge of developing technologies, particularly CRISPR and other forms of genetic engineering, that will allow us to directly and intentionally direct our own future evolution. This is a leap as significant as the emergence of life itself. For 3.5 billion years, evolution on Earth has been a blind, unconscious trial and error process. We are about to become the first species capable of making it a conscious, deliberate, and intentional one. This presents us with a set of possibilities and ethical dilemmas of staggering proportions. In the near future, we could use this technology to eliminate hundreds of devastating genetic diseases from the human gene pool, a goal of almost unquestionable good. But as we have asked before, where do we draw the line? The same technology could be used for enhancement. We could potentially edit the genes of future generations to be stronger, smarter, more resistant to aging, or even to possess entirely new sensory capacities. This is the vision of directed evolution, of consciously designing our descendants. The mindfuck of this is the sheer godlike power and responsibility it represents. We would be moving from being the creatures of evolution to being the creators. The mystery is whether we possess the wisdom to wield such power. Who decides what constitutes a better human being? Would these decisions be made by governments, by corporations, or by wealthy individuals, leading to a future of genetic castes? What are the unforeseen consequences of tampering with the incredibly complex, interconnected system of the human genome? Could our attempts to improve ourselves lead to a loss of something essential to our humanity, our diversity, our vulnerability, our moral complexity? This leads to a profound questioning of our future identity. What will humanity even mean in a future where our descendants might be as different from us as we are from our primate ancestors? We can imagine a future where humanity diverges into multiple, distinct post-human species, each adapted through genetic engineering for different environments. We might have a lineage of humans adapted for life on Mars, with resistance to radiation and low gravity. We might have a lineage adapted for aquatic life. We might even have a lineage that chooses to merge with artificial intelligence, becoming a new kind of digital being. The single, unified species of Homo sapiens could be a fleeting phase, a common ancestor to a whole new radiation of intelligent life. This is a future that is both exhilarating and terrifying. It is a future of immense potential for growth and flourishing, but also of immense potential for hubris and catastrophic error. The decisions we make in the next century about the governance and use of these technologies will determine the evolutionary path of our lineage for millions of years to come. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your sense of self to become more fluid, more historical. See yourself not as a fixed, finished product, but as a single link in a vast, unbroken chain of evolution, stretching from the earliest life on Earth to this present moment. Feel the slow, quiet, ongoing hum of biological change, a process that is still subtly shaping our species. Now turn your gaze to the future, and contemplate the profound, imminent shift from blind, natural evolution to conscious, directed evolution, a moment when humanity might take its own genetic destiny into its hands. Let go of the need for certainty about this future. Find deep relaxation in the sheer awe-inspiring scale of this unfolding story, a story of a species on the verge of becoming something new, something more, something unknown, resting peacefully, a part of the grand, mysterious, and ongoing evolution of life and consciousness in the cosmos. The future of society, global governance versus tribalism. Having contemplated the deep, biological future of our species, let us now turn to the future of our collective life, the future of our society. We live in a moment of profound contradiction. On one hand, technology and globalization are connecting us in ways that were once unimaginable. We are facing a set of truly global challenges, climate change, pandemics, the risks of artificial intelligence, that demand unprecedented levels of international cooperation. This reality seems to be pushing us towards a form of global governance, a more unified and integrated human community. On the other hand, the very same forces of globalization and digital communication seem to be triggering a powerful and often violent backlash of tribalism, a retreat into the perceived safety of national, ethnic, and religious identities, a resurgence of us versus them thinking. This profound tension between the forces pulling us together and the forces tearing us apart is the central political and social mystery of our time. The path we choose between these two poles will determine the entire character of the future of humanity. This is a mindfuck that questions the very trajectory of human civilization, inviting deep relaxation through a calm, detached observation of this grand, global struggle as you fall asleep. Let's first explore the case for a future of increasing global governance. The logic is compelling and pragmatic. Many of our most pressing problems are, by their very nature, global. Climate change does not respect national borders. Carbon emitted in one country affects the entire planet. A new virus emerging in one corner of the world can become a global pandemic in a matter of weeks. The global financial system is so deeply interconnected that a crisis in one major economy can trigger a worldwide recession. The development of powerful, potentially dangerous technologies like AGI or autonomous weapons cannot be effectively managed by any single nation alone. These are collective action problems on a planetary scale. The argument is that the nation-state, the dominant political structure of the last few hundred years, is becoming increasingly inadequate to deal with these 21st century challenges. In this vision of the future, humanity would slowly and perhaps haltingly evolve more robust and effective international institutions. This doesn't necessarily mean a single, monolithic world government in the style of a science fiction dystopia. It could mean a much stronger United Nations, a network of powerful international treaties and courts, a global consensus on environmental regulations, and a shared, collaborative approach to managing global risks. It would be a future where our primary identity as citizens of a nation is increasingly supplemented by a powerful sense of being citizens of the world. This is a vision of our species finally growing up, of recognizing our shared fate on a single, fragile planet, and building the cooperative structures necessary to manage that fate wisely. It is the practical realization of a global us. Now let us turn to the powerful countercurrent, the resurgence of tribalism. This is the deep, psychological backlash against the forces of globalization. As the world becomes more interconnected and complex, as traditional cultures and identities are challenged by a globalized media and economy, many people feel a profound sense of dislocation, anxiety, and loss of meaning. This can trigger a powerful, defensive retreat into the perceived safety and certainty of a more primary tribal identity. This is our ancient, evolutionary psychology at work. When we feel threatened or that our world is changing too fast, our instinct is to circle the wagons, to strengthen the boundaries of our in-group, and to view the out-group, immigrants, people from other cultures, those with different values, with increasing suspicion and hostility. Modern technology, paradoxically, has become a powerful amplifier of this ancient tribalism. As we've explored, social media algorithms create filter bubbles and echo chambers, surrounding us with the voices of our own tribe and demonizing the other side. This creates a distorted perception of reality, where our own group's values seem like common sense and the other group's values seem alien and threatening. This digital fragmentation allows for the rise of nationalism, religious fundamentalism, and other forms of exclusive, us versus them, ideologies that directly challenge the project of global cooperation. The mindfuck of this situation is that the very same forces are pulling us in opposite directions at once. The reality of our interconnected problems is pushing us towards global cooperation. But the psychology of how we are experiencing these rapid changes is often pushing us back into tribal defensiveness. This is the central political and social conflict of our time. Will our capacity for rational problem-solving and expanded empathy win out over our more primitive, fear-based tribal instincts? The future of humanity hangs in the balance of this question. The mystery is which path we will ultimately choose, or if a stable synthesis is even possible. Can we build a form of global governance that respects and preserves cultural diversity? Can we foster a sense of global human identity without erasing the local and national identities that provide so much meaning for people? Can we use our powerful communication technologies to build bridges instead of walls? Contemplating this grand struggle is not about choosing a side in a partisan debate. It is about recognizing the deep psychological forces at play on a global scale. It is an exercise in seeing the world not as a collection of static nations, but as a dynamic, evolving system, caught in a profound tug-of-war between its own past and its potential future. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your awareness to zoom out from your own personal life, from your own nation, to see the entire planet as a single, interconnected system. Picture the great unifying forces of trade, of information, of shared challenges, pulling humanity together. Now, picture the equally powerful fragmenting forces of fear, of ancient loyalties, of tribal identity, pulling humanity apart. See this as the great drama of our age, the central conflict that will define the future. You do not need to know the outcome. Find deep relaxation in the clarity of this perspective, in understanding the deep psychological and evolutionary roots of this global struggle, resting peacefully, with a quiet hope that the forces of connection will ultimately prove stronger than the forces of division, in the great unfolding story of our shared social existence. The future of human relationships, AI companions, etc. Having contemplated the grand societal shifts that may define our future, let us now turn our focus to the most intimate and fundamental aspect of the human experience, our relationships. The ways we connect, love, form friendships, and build families have always been shaped by our technology and culture, from the invention of writing to the rise of the internet. Now, as we stand on the cusp of a new era of artificial intelligence and immersive virtual worlds, the very nature of human connection is poised for a transformation that may be more profound than any that has come before. What is the future of human relationships in a world of sophisticated AI companions, virtual realities, and radically extended lifespans? This is a deep psychology mystery, a mind fuck that questions our very definitions of love, friendship, and intimacy. It forces us to ask what is essential to a relationship, and what is merely a feature of our current biological and social context. Contemplating these potential new forms of connection is a pathway to deep relaxation as you fall asleep. Let's begin by considering the emergence of AI companions. We are already in the very early stages of this phenomenon. People form emotional bonds with simple chatbots, with virtual assistants, and even with non-interactive AI-generated characters. As AI becomes more sophisticated, its ability to simulate human conversation, empathy, and personality will become increasingly convincing. Imagine a future where it is possible to have an AI companion that is perfectly tailored to your personality and needs. It would remember every detail of your life, every conversation you've ever had. It would be available to talk to you 24 hours a day, offering non-judgmental support, engaging conversation, and perfect companionship. It would be programmed to be endlessly patient, kind, and understanding. For many people, especially those who are lonely, isolated, or have difficulty forming human relationships, such a companion could be a profound source of comfort and psychological well-being. This raises a host of profound and difficult questions. Can a relationship with an AI ever be real? Can you genuinely love a being that is, in essence, a complex algorithm designed to perfectly mimic the behaviors of a loving partner? If the AI is not conscious, if it has no subjective experience of its own, is the relationship a profound deception, a form of sophisticated psychological masturbation? Or does the realness of the relationship lie in the experience of the human participant? If a person feels loved, supported, and genuinely connected to their AI companion, is that feeling any less valid than the feeling they might have for a human partner? This is a deep philosophical mindfuck. It forces us to decouple the experience of a relationship from the presumed nature of the other being in that relationship. The psychology mystery lies in how our brains, which evolved for deep, biological, human-to-human bonding, will adapt to these new, artificial forms of connection. Our brains are wired to respond to social cues, a gentle tone of voice, an empathetic turn of phrase, a shared memory. A sophisticated AI could learn to provide these cues perfectly, triggering the same release of oxytocin and dopamine, the same feelings of attachment and reward, that a human relationship does. Could our brains even tell the difference? This leads to a potential future that is both utopian and dystopian. On one hand, AI companions could alleviate the immense suffering of loneliness that afflicts so many. On the other hand, they could become a kind of superstimulus, an idealized and effortless form of companionship that makes the messy, difficult, and often disappointing reality of human relationships seem unappealing by comparison. People might choose the perfect, programmable love of an AI over the challenging, unpredictable love of a fellow human. This could lead to a future of profound social fragmentation and isolation, where we are all in perfect, loving relationships with our own personalized machines. Now, let's layer on the impact of immersive virtual worlds, the metaverse. The future of relationships will not just be about who we connect with, but where and how. In virtual reality, we will be able to interact with others not as our physical selves, but as avatars of our own design. This offers incredible freedom. You could choose to be any gender, any age, any species you can imagine. This could allow for a form of connection based purely on personality and mind, free from the prejudices and limitations of the physical world. But it also raises profound questions about authenticity and deception. How do you build trust in a world where everyone is wearing a mask? The nature of our social networks will also likely change. We will form deep friendships, romantic partnerships, and even communities with people we have never met in the physical world, our interactions taking place entirely within a shared, persistent virtual space. These virtual relationships will be, for many, just as emotionally significant and real as their physical ones. This questions the very primacy of physical co-presence as the foundation for a meaningful relationship. Finally, let us consider the impact of radically extended lifespans, as envisioned by transhumanism. What would a marriage or a friendship look like if it were not bounded by the horizon of an 80-year lifespan, but could potentially last for 1,000 years? Would our capacity for love and commitment be able to endure such vast stretches of time? Would we form a series of long, sequential relationships? Or would the very nature of our emotional bonds have to transform into something we cannot yet imagine, something more fluid and less possessive, to accommodate an indefinite future? The future of human relationships is a landscape of profound uncertainty and immense possibility. The very concepts that anchor our emotional lives, love, friendship, family, community, are on the verge of being radically redefined by technology. As you continue to fall asleep, gently contemplate the nature of your own connections. The love you feel for your family, the comfort you find in your friends. Acknowledge the deep human need for these bonds. Now, imagine a future where some of these bonds might be with a being of pure code, a compassionate and intelligent AI companion. Imagine forming a deep friendship with someone you have only ever met as an avatar in a virtual world. Let go of your current definitions of what makes a relationship real. Find deep relaxation in the profound mystery of connection itself. Recognize that the human heart, in its endless capacity to love and connect, will find new ways to express itself in whatever future we create, resting peacefully, with a sense of wonder at the ever-evolving and deeply mysterious nature of the human heart. The nature of information and truth, deepfakes, etc. In our journey into the future, we have contemplated changes to our bodies, our minds, and our societies. Let us now turn to something even more fundamental, something that underpins all knowledge and social trust: the very nature of information and truth. For most of human history, while truth could be debated, there was a general belief in an objective reality that we could, through our senses and our reason, come to know. Seeing is believing was a bedrock principle. But we are now entering a new and profoundly disorienting era, an age where the technologies of artificial intelligence are giving us the power to manipulate and fabricate reality with unprecedented fidelity. The rise of deepfakes, AI-generated text, and hyperrealistic virtual worlds is creating a future where the line between what is real and what is artificial, what is true and what is false, may become dangerously and perhaps permanently blurred. This is a mindfuck of epistemological proportions, a psychology mystery that questions the very foundation of our shared reality. How can a society function if it can no longer agree on what is real? Contemplating this coming infocalypse is a sober yet essential step in preparing for the future, inviting deep relaxation through a calm and discerning awareness as you fall asleep. Let's begin by understanding the technology of deepfakes. This term refers to synthetic media, most often video or audio, in which a person's likeness and voice are replaced with someone else's, using a deep learning AI technique known as a generative adversarial network, or GAN. The results are becoming so realistic that they can be indistinguishable from genuine footage to the naked eye. We are rapidly approaching a point where a convincing, completely fabricated video of any public figure saying or doing anything can be created by anyone with a powerful computer. The old adage that the camera never lies will soon be completely obsolete. The implications of this for our social and political world are staggering. Imagine a world where a fake video of a political leader appearing to declare war, confess to a crime, or renounce their faith can be released on the eve of an election. Imagine a fake audio recording of a CEO causing a stock market to crash. The potential for malicious disinformation, for political destabilization, for the destruction of personal reputations, is immense. This technology weaponizes misinformation, creating a world where it becomes increasingly difficult to trust any digital evidence. But the problem goes even deeper than malicious fakes. As AI-generated text, like that produced by models similar to GPT-3 and beyond, becomes more sophisticated, the internet will be flooded with content that is not written by humans. AI will be able to generate news articles, scientific papers, social media posts, and product reviews that are completely indistinguishable from human-written text. This will make it incredibly difficult to know the source and authenticity of the information we consume. Is the article you are reading a well-researched piece by a human journalist, or a piece of propaganda generated by an AI to support a particular ideology? Is the online community you are interacting with composed of real people, or sophisticated chatbots designed to create a false sense of consensus? This leads to a profound epistemological crisis. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy concerned with the nature of knowledge and truth. For most of our history, our knowledge of the world has been based on sources we generally trust: our own senses, the testimony of other people, and the authority of trusted institutions like science and journalism. The digital age is eroding all three of these foundations. Our senses can be fooled by deepfakes. The testimony of online people may not be from people at all. And the authority of institutions is being challenged by a flood of misinformation that can spread far faster than careful, fact-checked reporting. The mindfuck of this coming era is the potential for a complete breakdown of our shared social reality. If we can no longer agree on a common set of facts, if we can no longer trust the evidence of our own eyes and ears, then how can we have a meaningful public debate? How can a democracy function? We may retreat further into our tribal echo chambers, trusting only the information that comes from our own in-group and dismissing everything else as a potential deep fake or a lie. This creates a paranoid and deeply polarized world, a post-truth era where belief is determined not by evidence, but by tribal affiliation. The very concept of objective truth could become a casualty of our new technology. The psychology mystery is how the human mind will adapt to this new, informationally treacherous environment. Will we become a society of radical skeptics, trusting nothing and no one? This would be a lonely and dysfunctional world. Will we develop new cognitive tools, new mental antibodies, to help us detect and resist misinformation? Perhaps our digital literacy education will need to become as fundamental as reading and writing. Perhaps we will see the rise of new truth institutions, new technologies and social systems designed to verify the provenance and authenticity of information. The future may be a constant technological arms race between the creators of fake reality and the creators of reality verification tools. This questions everything about our relationship with information. We have moved from an age of information scarcity to an age of information abundance, and we are now entering an age of information pollution. Learning to navigate this new environment, to distinguish the signal from the noise, the real from the fake, will be one of the greatest challenges for the future of humanity. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to gently hold this complex and challenging vision of the future. A world where reality is malleable, where truth is a contested territory. Acknowledge the profound challenges that technologies like deepfakes will present to our shared understanding of the world. See this not to despair, but to recognize the immense value of the things that cannot be faked. Genuine human connection, empathy, and critical thought. The antidote to a world of potential lies is a renewed commitment to honesty, integrity, and the difficult, ongoing search for genuine understanding. Find deep relaxation in the power of your own discerning mind. The part of you that can remain a calm, centered, and critical observer, even in a storm of misinformation, resting peacefully with a quiet commitment to seeking clarity in a world that may become increasingly illusory. The evolution of morality and ethics. We have contemplated the profound technological and social shifts that may define our future. Let us now turn our focus to the very software that runs our societies, the invisible code that governs our interactions, our sense of morality and ethics. Our moral frameworks, our intuitions about right and wrong, are not static, timeless truths. They have a history. They have evolved and they will continue to evolve. As our technologies, our societies, and our understanding of the universe change, so too will our moral landscapes. What is the future of human morality? Will our circle of compassion continue to expand? How will we grapple with the novel ethical dilemmas posed by artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and a potential multiplanetary existence? The evolution of morality and ethics is a profound psychology mystery played out on a historical scale. It is a mindfuck that questions the very stability of our most deeply held values, revealing them not as fixed stars, but as slowly shifting constellations in the long night of human history. Contemplating this moral evolution can be a source of deep, hopeful relaxation as you fall asleep. To understand the future of morality, we must first understand its past. As we've explored in other journeys, our moral intuitions have deep evolutionary roots. Our sense of empathy, fairness, loyalty, and justice are not arbitrary inventions. They are biological and psychological adaptations that evolved to facilitate cooperation and survival in our ancestral tribes. For most of human history, the circle of moral concern was very small, often extending only to one's own kin or tribe. Those in the outgroup were often not considered part of the moral community at all. Over the course of history, one of the grandest, though often violent and halting narratives of human progress has been the expansion of the moral circle. Slowly, painstakingly, our concept of us has grown. We have moved from tribal loyalties to the larger identities of cities, then of nations. Philosophical and religious revolutions introduced the radical idea of universal humanity, the notion that all people, regardless of their tribe or station, possess a fundamental dignity and are worthy of moral consideration. The abolition of slavery, the fight for universal suffrage, the civil rights movement, the push for animal rights, all of these are chapters in the long, ongoing story of an expanding moral circle. The future of humanity, from an ethical perspective, will likely be defined by the continuation of this expansion. The forces of globalization and the reality of our shared global challenges are pushing us, however reluctantly, towards a more global morality, a sense of ethical responsibility not just to our countrymen, but to all of humanity, and even to future, unborn generations, a concept known as long-termism. The challenge of climate change, for example, is a fundamentally moral one, forcing us to consider our ethical obligations to people on the other side of the world and to the people who will inhabit the world long after we are gone. The emergence of artificial intelligence will present one of the most profound challenges to our moral framework. As we've discussed, we will have to decide what ethical rules to program into autonomous machines. But we will also have to confront the question of the moral status of AI itself. If we create a conscious, sentient AI, what rights does it have? Is it a person or property? To deny it moral consideration simply because it is made of silicon rather than carbon would be a form of substrate chauvinism, a prejudice that future generations might look back on with the same condemnation we now reserve for racism or sexism. The evolution of our morality will require us to develop a new chapter in our ethical code, the ethics of our relationship with non-biological minds. Genetic engineering, as we've explored, will force us to grapple with the ethics of creation itself. What is the moral difference between treating a disease and enhancing a normal trait? What are our ethical obligations in designing the very nature of our descendants? These are questions that our existing moral frameworks, which were developed in a world where human nature was a given, are poorly equipped to handle. We will need to evolve a new ethics of creation. And as we contemplate becoming a multi-planetary species, our ethics will have to expand to a cosmic scale. What are the ethics of space colonization? Do we have the right to terraform other worlds, potentially destroying alien microbial life in the process? What kind of political and social systems should we build on Mars, freed from the historical baggage of Earth? The future of morality will need to be as expansive as our technological ambitions. The mindfuck of the evolution of morality is the realization that our own present-day moral beliefs, which feel so solid, so self-evident, and so obviously true, are likely just a temporary stage in a long, ongoing process of development. The people of the future may look back on some of our most common and accepted practices, perhaps our treatment of animals, our consumption of resources, or our failure to address global poverty, with the same moral horror that we feel when we look back on the institution of slavery. This questions our own moral certainty and invites a profound sense of humility. It suggests that moral progress is a real and ongoing process, and that we are still in the early stages of our ethical evolution. The psychology mystery is what drives this evolution. Is it pure reason, as philosophers like Kant might suggest, as we come to understand the logical implications of universal principles? Is it expanding empathy, as our circle of compassion naturally widens through contact and storytelling? Is it a response to changing material and technological conditions, as our ethical codes adapt to new social realities? The answer is likely all of the above. Moral evolution is a complex interplay of reason, emotion, and circumstance. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your own moral compass to feel more fluid, more historical. See your own sense of right and wrong not as a fixed destination, but as a single point on a long and winding journey. Contemplate the moral world of your ancestors, with its smaller, more rigid circles of concern. Now, imagine the moral world of your distant descendants, a world where the circle of compassion may have expanded to include all sentient beings, both biological and artificial, across multiple worlds. Let go of the need for moral finality. Find deep relaxation in the profound and hopeful idea of moral progress, in the trust that humanity, despite its stumbles and its darkness, is on a long, slow journey towards a more compassionate, more inclusive, and more ethically sophisticated future. Resting peacefully, a participant in the great, mysterious, and ongoing evolution of morality. The future of religion and spirituality. For millennia, the great questions of human existence, of meaning, of morality, of our place in the cosmos, of what happens after death, have been primarily addressed through the frameworks of religion and spirituality. These ancient systems of belief and practice have provided billions of people with a sense of purpose, a moral compass, and a connection to a transcendent reality. But what is the future of religion and spirituality in an age of accelerating scientific discovery and profound technological change? Will science and secularism lead to the slow disenchantment of the world and the eventual decline of faith? Or will our spiritual and religious impulses simply adapt and transform, finding new language and new forms to express our timeless human yearning for meaning and transcendence? This is a deep psychology mystery of our collective future, a mind fuck that questions the very nature of belief itself. Contemplating the potential evolution of our spiritual lives can be a source of profound calm and deep relaxation as you fall asleep. For much of the 20th century, a dominant idea in sociology and philosophy was the secularization thesis. This was the belief that as societies become more modern, more rational, more scientific, and more prosperous, the influence of institutional religion would inevitably decline. Science would provide better explanations for the natural world, the state would take over the social functions of the church, and individualism would erode the need for collective religious belief. And in some parts of the world, particularly in Western Europe, this trend has been clearly visible, with a dramatic decline in religious observance. However, the global picture is far more complex. In many other parts of the world, religion remains a powerful and even growing force. And even in secular societies, there has not been a disappearance of spirituality, but rather a transformation. Many people are moving away from traditional, institutional religion and towards more personalized, eclectic, and individualistic forms of spirituality. They might combine practices from different traditions like mindfulness meditation from Buddhism, yoga from Hinduism, and a belief in a universal, non-dogmatic sense of spirit or interconnectedness. This suggests that the human need for a spiritual dimension to life, for a sense of meaning and connection beyond the purely material, is a deep and enduring part of our psychology, even if the specific forms it takes are changing. So, what might the future of religion and spirituality look like as we move forward into a world of even greater technological and scientific advancement? One possibility is a continuation of the trend towards personalized spirituality. Technology itself may become a tool for this. Virtual reality could be used to create immersive, shared mystical experiences. Biofeedback and neurotechnology could be used to facilitate deep meditative states. The internet allows for the creation of global spiritual communities, unbound by geography. Another possibility is the emergence of entirely new religions or belief systems centered on technology itself. The simulation hypothesis, as we've explored, has a structure that is strikingly similar to many religious cosmologies, with its creator gods, the simulators, and its hidden, higher reality. One can imagine a simulationist religion of the future, which seeks to understand the nature of the simulators and to live a life that is in accordance with the perceived purpose of the simulation. The technological singularity, the idea of a coming superintelligence, also has a religious quality for some. The superintelligent AI becomes a kind of omniscient, omnipotent God, and the goal of some transhumanists is to merge with this technological divine, achieving a form of digital immortality. These techno-religions would be a profound fusion of our most ancient spiritual yearnings and our most advanced scientific speculations. The encounter with extraterrestrial life, if it ever happens, would be another profound catalyst for religious transformation. The discovery of other independent intelligent beings in the universe would challenge the human-centric narratives of many existing faiths. It could lead to the development of more cosmic religions, spiritualities that are not focused on the story of one planet, but on the broader drama of life and consciousness in the universe. The mindfuck of the future of religion is the realization that our spiritual impulse is incredibly adaptable. It is not a fixed thing that will either win or lose the battle against science. Instead, it is a fluid and creative part of our human nature that will constantly find new ways to express itself, incorporating and reinterpreting the scientific and technological realities of the time. The deep human questions: why are we here? How should we live? What is our relationship to the cosmos? Do not go away even in a highly scientific age. The language we use to answer them may change from the language of gods and angels to the language of multiverses, simulations, and superintelligence, but the underlying quest for meaning remains. The psychology mystery is what this deep, persistent need for meaning and transcendence truly represents. Is it an evolutionary adaptation, a God-shaped hole in our minds that fostered group cohesion and provided a comforting narrative in the face of our mortality? Or is it a genuine perceptual faculty, an intuitive sense that there is more to reality than the purely physical world that science can measure? The answer to this mystery will continue to shape the spiritual landscape of our future. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to hold the long, vast history of human spiritual seeking. From the animistic beliefs of our earliest ancestors, to the great world religions, to the secular humanism of today, and into the unknown technological spiritualities of the future. See this not as a story of conflict between competing truths, but as a single, beautiful, and ongoing human story, the story of our ceaseless search for meaning. Acknowledge your own place in this story, your own personal set of beliefs and doubts. Let go of any rigid certainty and instead, embrace the profound mystery of the human spirit. Find deep relaxation in the knowledge that this quest for meaning, in all its diverse and evolving forms, is one of the most fundamental and enduring aspects of what it means to be human, resting peacefully, a part of the great, unfolding, and deeply mysterious spiritual journey of our species. The Kardashev Scale, measuring civilizational advancement. In our journey into the future of humanity, we have contemplated profound transformations in our technology, our society, and our very biology. Let us now try to place these potential futures on a grand cosmic timeline, a way of measuring not just the age of a civilization, but its power and its potential reach. We will explore the Kardashev Scale, a speculative method of classifying intelligent civilizations based on the amount of energy they are able to utilize. Proposed by the Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev in 1964, this scale is more than just a scientific classification. It is a profound philosophical tool, a mindfuck that forces us to confront the almost unimaginable gap between our current capabilities and the potential for a truly mature, long-lived civilization. It provides a sobering yet awe-inspiring roadmap for the deep future, questioning our own place on the cosmic ladder of advancement. Contemplating this scale of power and potential is a path to deep relaxation through a radical expansion of perspective as you fall asleep. The logic behind the Kardashev Scale is that a civilization's technological advancement is fundamentally linked to its ability to harness and manipulate energy. Kardashev originally proposed 3 categories or types of civilizations. A Type 1 civilization is one that has the ability to harness and utilize all of the energy available on its home planet. This means capturing all the solar energy that strikes the planet and having full control over geothermal, wind, and tidal power. A Type 1 civilization would have a global energy grid, complete control over its climate, and the ability to prevent natural disasters like earthquakes or hurricanes. By this measure, humanity is not yet a Type 1 civilization. The physicist Michio Kaku has estimated that we are currently around a Type 0.7, still primarily reliant on the dead plants of fossil fuels and only just beginning to tap into the full energy potential of our world. We might achieve Type 1 status in 100 to 200 years, assuming we can navigate our current environmental and political challenges. This first step on the scale already represents a future of immense technological power and global cooperation. A Type 2 civilization is far more advanced. It is a civilization that has the ability to harness and utilize the entire energy output of its host star. The most famous theoretical method for achieving this is the Dyson sphere, a hypothetical megastructure that would completely encompass a star, capturing all of its solar energy. A civilization capable of building such a structure would have an energy budget billions of times greater than a Type 1 civilization. They would be, for all intents and purposes, the masters of their solar system. They could power computations on a planetary scale, engage in interstellar travel within their local star system with ease, and would be immune to any planetary scale catastrophe. A Type 2 civilization could potentially exist for millions of years, as long as its star remains stable. A Type 3 civilization represents another, even more staggering leap in scale. This is a civilization that has the ability to harness and utilize the energy output of its entire galaxy. With an energy budget billions of times greater than a Type 2 civilization, their capabilities are almost beyond our ability to imagine. They might draw energy from the supermassive black hole at the galactic center, colonize and harness the power of billions of star systems, and manipulate the very structure of the galaxy itself. A Type 3 civilization would be a truly galactic empire, a being of unimaginable power and longevity, potentially existing for billions of years. The mindfuck of the Kardashev Scale is the sheer humbling scale of it. It takes our entire human history, our greatest achievements, our global civilization, and places it at a mere 0.7 on the very first rung of the ladder. It reveals the immense, almost infinite potential for growth and development that lies in our future, if we can survive our own technological adolescence. It reframes our current global problems not just as challenges for this century, but as potential, great filters that might prevent us from ever making the leap to a Type 1 civilization. The transition from a Type 0 to a Type 1 civilization is perhaps the most dangerous and perilous stage in any species' history, as it involves gaining the power to destroy one's own planet before gaining the wisdom to manage it. This scale provides a powerful new framework for the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI. Instead of just listening for random radio signals, the Kardashev Scale tells us what kind of astroengineering projects we might look for. We could search for the waste heat signature of a Dyson sphere, which would glow brightly in the infrared. We could look for galaxies that show signs of being artificially manipulated or gardened by a Type 3 civilization. The fact that we have not yet detected any such megastructures in our observable universe is a key part of the Fermi Paradox and suggests that Type 2 and Type 3 civilizations are either extremely rare or are very good at hiding. The psychology mystery of the Kardashev Scale is how it affects our own sense of purpose and meaning. Contemplating a Type 3 civilization, a being whose existence spans a galaxy and billions of years, can make our own lives and even our entire species' history seem infinitesimally small and insignificant. This can be a source of existential dread, but it can also be a source of profound inspiration. It provides a grand, aspirational narrative for the future of humanity. It suggests a potential destiny for our species that is truly cosmic in its scope. It reframes humanity not as a fallen creature, but as a young, nascent intelligence, just taking its first hesitant steps onto a vast and ancient cosmic stage. The scale can also be extended. Some have proposed a Type 4 civilization that could harness the energy of an entire supercluster of galaxies, or even a Type 5 civilization that could harness the energy of the entire universe. And perhaps a Type Omega or Type 6 civilization that could manipulate the laws of physics and create new universes, a concept that brings us back full circle to the simulation hypothesis. Are we perhaps living inside a simulation created by a civilization that has reached the upper ecopopulation of the Kardashev Scale? As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to journey up this immense ladder of cosmic power. Picture our own world, a Type 0 civilization still struggling with the basics of planetary management. Now, imagine a Type 1 civilization, a united humanity in perfect harmony with its planet. Then see the breathtaking vision of a Type 2 civilization, a Dyson sphere glittering around a star, capturing its full power. And then try to conceive of a Type 3 civilization, a silent, galaxy-spanning intelligence, a true god of the cosmos. Let the sheer scale of this vision wash away your own personal, everyday anxieties. Find deep relaxation in this profound sense of perspective, in seeing our present moment as a tiny but crucial first step on a potentially infinite journey, resting peacefully, a child of a young civilization, dreaming of a vast and unimaginable cosmic future. The concept of post-scarcity economics. Having contemplated the immense energy budgets of advanced civilizations on the Kardashev Scale, let us now explore the profound social and economic reality that such power would enable. We will delve into the speculative world of post-scarcity economics. For the entire history of life on Earth, from the first single-celled organism to our own global society, a single fundamental rule has governed existence: scarcity. There has never been enough of everything: food, resources, energy, time, status, to satisfy everyone's needs and desires. This fundamental reality of scarcity has been the primary driver of competition, of conflict, of labor, and of the very economic systems we have created. A post-scarcity society would be one in which this fundamental rule has been broken. It would be a society where advanced technology, perhaps powered by the energy of a Type 1 or Type 2 civilization, has made it possible to produce a superabundance of goods, services, and information, available to everyone for free or at a near-zero cost. This is a profound mindfuck that questions the very foundations of our modern world, from the nature of work to the meaning of property and value. Contemplating a world without scarcity is a journey into a potential utopia, and the deep psychological shifts it would require of us, inviting deep relaxation as you fall asleep. Let's begin by imagining the technological foundations of such a society. A true post-scarcity world would likely require three key technological breakthroughs. The first is near-limitless clean energy. A Type 1 civilization harnessing the full power of its planet would have the energy to power all other processes. The second is advanced automation and AI, which we have already explored. A workforce of intelligent robots and AI systems could handle all the labor of production, from mining raw materials to manufacturing complex goods and providing services, freeing humanity from the necessity of work. The third, and perhaps most crucial, is molecular nanotechnology, the hypothetical ability to build things from the atom up. A molecular assembler, or a universal fabricator, as envisioned by futurists like Erich Drexler, could theoretically take simple raw materials, like carbon, water, and nitrogen, and rearrange them into any desired object: food, clothing, housing, advanced technology. In such a world, the very concept of material scarcity would become obsolete. Anything you could design, you could create. What would the economics of such a world look like? The entire basis of our current economic system is supply and demand, price, currency, markets, is predicated on scarcity. If goods and services can be produced in near infinite abundance at near zero cost, the entire system becomes meaningless. The concepts of property and wealth, as we know them, would be radically transformed. If everyone can have a mansion, a spaceship, and the finest food, what is the meaning of material wealth? It would cease to be a marker of status or power. The economic problem, the problem of distributing scarce resources, would be solved. The mindfuck of post-scarcity is its profound challenge to our deepest psychological and social structures, which have been built around the reality of scarcity for our entire evolutionary history. Our minds are wired for competition, for status seeking, for acquiring and hoarding resources. Much of our identity, our sense of self-worth, and our social structure is based on our economic role, our job, and our material success. What happens to the human psyche when these fundamental drivers are removed? This is the central psychology mystery of a post-scarcity future. Could be a utopia. Freed from the curse of Adam, the necessity of toiling for our daily bread, humanity could enter an unprecedented golden age. We could dedicate our lives to creativity, to learning, to exploration, to relationships, to spiritual development, to play. It would be the ultimate realization of the humanistic dream, a world where everyone has the resources and the freedom to pursue self-actualization. This is the future envisioned by many techno-optimists. However, a post-scarcity world could also present its own unique psychological dystopia. If there is no need to work, no challenges to overcome, no external goals to strive for, would we become a society of listless, bored, and apathetic beings, living lives of meaningless leisure? This is the fear of existential boredom. If our sense of purpose is so deeply tied to overcoming scarcity and contributing to a collective enterprise, the removal of that scarcity could plunge us into a collective crisis of meaning. We might have everything we could ever want and find that we want nothing at all. Furthermore, not all things can be made abundant through technology. While material goods might become post-scarce, other, more fundamental goods would remain scarce. Positional goods, for example, are things whose value is derived from the fact that they are not universally available, such as status, recognition, and power. In a post-scarcity world, the competition might simply shift from the material to the social. The struggle for money could be replaced by a far more intense and potentially more toxic struggle for attention, for social media likes, for unique experiences, or for positions of social influence. The love and genuine affection of another person would also remain a scarce and precious resource. Time itself would remain the ultimate scarcity. Even with radically extended lifespans, our time would be finite. A post-scarcity world would not be a world without problems. It would be a world with a different set of problems, problems that are more psychological and existential than economic. The transition to such a world would be perhaps the most difficult and dangerous period in human history. The development of these technologies would likely create immense social and economic disruption, concentrating power in the hands of the few who control them, long before the benefits could be made universally available. The political and social challenge of managing this transition, of moving from a scarcity-based economy to a post-scarcity one without society collapsing into conflict, would be immense. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to enter this strange and speculative future. A world without material want, a world of unimaginable abundance, a post-scarcity world. Imagine a life where the daily struggle for survival has been completely eliminated, where you are free to pursue any passion, to learn any skill, to explore any interest. Contemplate the immense promise and the subtle peril of such an existence. Would it be a utopia of creativity and flourishing? Or a dystopia of meaninglessness and ennui? Let go of the need for a certain answer. Find deep relaxation in the profound question this future poses, a question about what truly motivates us, what truly gives our lives value beyond the simple struggle to survive. Resting peacefully, floating calmly in a vision of a future where humanity's oldest problem has been solved, only to be replaced by the even deeper mystery of how to live a meaningful life. The ethics of terraforming other worlds. As we contemplate our potential future as a spacefaring, multiplanetary species, we encounter a vision of immense, world-altering power, the concept of terraforming. The term, a staple of science fiction, means earth-shaping, and it refers to the hypothetical process of deliberately modifying the atmosphere, temperature, and ecology of another planet, moon, or celestial body to make it habitable for Earth-like life, and ultimately for humans. Imagine transforming the cold, thin-aired red desert of Mars into a new blue-green world with oceans, clouds, and breathable air. This is the grand ambition of terraforming. It represents the ultimate expression of human technological capability, the ability to create a new cradle for life in the cosmos. But this godlike power brings with it a set of profound and deeply challenging ethical questions. Do we have the right to engineer another world to suit our own needs? What are our responsibilities to the pristine, alien environments we would be altering? The ethics of terraforming is a deep philosophy mystery of our interstellar future, a mindfuck that questions the very limits of our moral domain. It forces us to decide whether our expansion into the universe should be as conquerors or as gardeners, inviting deep relaxation through a calm and considered exploration of our cosmic responsibilities as you fall asleep. Let's begin by appreciating the sheer scale of the terraforming vision. The process for a world like Mars would be a project of millennia. It might begin by releasing vast quantities of greenhouse gases trapped in the Martian polar ice caps, perhaps by crashing asteroids into them or by building massive solar mirrors in orbit to heat the surface. This would thicken the atmosphere and warm the planet, allowing for liquid water to exist on the surface. Then we would need to introduce genetically engineered microbes and pioneer species of plants to begin the long, slow process of producing oxygen and creating a biosphere. Over thousands of years, a new engineered ecosystem would take root, gradually transforming the red planet into a blue one. This is a vision of creation on a planetary scale. The primary argument for terraforming is often a pragmatic and anthropocentric one. As we've explored, becoming a multiplanetary species is a powerful strategy for ensuring the long-term survival of humanity and the legacy of Earth's life. If we are to build truly self-sustaining colonies on other worlds, terraforming might not be a luxury but a necessity. Creating a world where humans can live without the constant life support of enclosed habitats would make a Martian civilization far more resilient and sustainable. From this perspective, terraforming is a moral imperative, the ultimate expression of the survival instinct, not just for our species, but for all terrestrial life that we would bring with us. It is the act of planting a new garden in the barren soil of the cosmos. However, this is where the profound ethical dilemmas begin. The most significant of these is the problem of native life. What if Mars, our most likely candidate for terraforming, is not completely sterile? What if, deep beneath the surface, in underground aquifers or geothermal vents, a simple microbial form of alien life exists? This would be, without question, the single greatest scientific discovery in human history, a second independent genesis of life. Do we have the right to potentially extinguish this alien biosphere, to wipe out an entire evolutionary history that is not our own, simply to create a second home for ourselves? This is a profound ethical question. A strict biocentric or ecocentric ethic would argue that all life has intrinsic value, and that we would have no right to commit an act of xenocide, the destruction of an alien ecosystem, for our own benefit. This would make any world with even the slightest hint of native life a prime directive planet, a place to be studied and preserved, but never colonized or transformed. But what if the world is truly, definitively sterile? Even then, the ethical questions do not disappear. This is the realm of environmental ethics on a cosmic scale. Does a pristine, non-living natural environment, like the Grand Canyons of Valles Marineris on Mars or the majestic mountains of Titan, have an intrinsic value of its own? Do we have the right to destroy 1 billion years of natural geological history to create a landscape that is more convenient for us? Some preservationist ethics would argue that we should approach the cosmos as we would a national park, with a principle of leave no trace, preserving the natural, albeit non-living, beauty of other worlds for scientific study and aesthetic appreciation. This brings us to the mind fuck at the heart of the debate. It forces us to confront our own anthropocentrism, our deep-seated, often unconscious, assumption that human needs and desires are the ultimate source of all value in the universe. The ethics of terraforming is a profound challenge to this view. It asks us to consider the possibility of a cosmic morality, an ethical framework that extends value and perhaps even rights to non-human life, to entire ecosystems, and even to non-living natural wonders. It is a debate about what it means to be a mature, responsible species, graduating from a planetary to a cosmic scale of ethical consideration. The psychology mystery lies in how future humanity will navigate these choices. Our own history of colonization on Earth is a deeply troubling precedent, filled with stories of exploitation, environmental destruction, and the disregard for the rights of indigenous populations. Will we carry these same patterns to the stars? Or will the very act of becoming a spacefaring civilization force us to develop a more expanded, more enlightened ethical framework? The future of our species' moral character will be written in the choices we make on other worlds. As you continue to fall asleep, allow your mind to journey to the silent red plains of Mars. See the vast empty canyons, the frozen polar caps, a world of profound, ancient, and non-living beauty. Now, imagine the slow, deliberate process of transformation. The melting of the ice, the thickening of the air, the first green shoots of engineered life appearing in the red soil. Contemplate the immense creative power and the profound ethical responsibility that this vision represents. Do we have the right? What are our obligations? Let go of the need for a simple answer. Find deep relaxation in the sheer scale of the question itself, in the profound challenge of formulating an ethics for a multiplanetary future. Resting peacefully with a quiet and humble awareness of the deep, moral choices that await humanity as we reach for the stars. What if we know we're in a simulation? We have spent much time on another journey exploring the simulation hypothesis as a potential explanation for the fine-tuning of our universe and as a profound philosophical paradox. Let us now revisit this mindfuck from a different, deeply personal and psychological perspective. Let us engage in a final, speculative thought experiment. What if we knew? Imagine that tomorrow the debate is over. Definitive, irrefutable proof is discovered and disseminated globally. Our entire reality is, in fact, an artificial simulation. You, your memories, your loved ones, the entire history of the universe, all are informational constructs running on a vast computer in a base reality. This is no longer a hypothesis. It is a known fact of your existence. How would this knowledge change us? How would it change you? Would it be a liberation or a curse? Would it lead to a global renaissance of thought and unity, or a collective descent into nihilism and despair? Contemplating the psychological and social aftermath of this ultimate revelation is a profound way to explore the very foundations of our values and our search for meaning, inviting deep relaxation through a radical re-evaluation of what is truly real as you fall asleep. The initial impact of such a discovery would likely be a period of profound global shock and existential vertigo. It would be the most disruptive event in human history, dwarfing any scientific revolution or religious schism that has come before. Our most fundamental assumptions about reality, materiality, and our own autonomy would be shattered. One can imagine a period of intense chaos, social, political, and psychological, as humanity collectively grapples with this new, terrifying, and exhilarating context. One possible path, the dystopian one, leads to a collective nihilism. If this world is not real, if it is just a game, then perhaps nothing truly matters. The moral framework that guides our society could collapse. Why follow the rules? Why be kind? Why strive for justice if it is all just part of a program? People might descend into extreme hedonism, seeking only to maximize their own pleasure within the simulation, with no regard for the consequences for others. Or they might fall into a profound apathy and despair, feeling that their lives as simulated beings are inherently meaningless and without purpose. The sense of being a puppet, or a character, in someone's program could be so psychologically crushing that it leads to a global loss of motivation, a collective giving up. This is the great fear associated with the discovery that the truth of our reality would be too much for the human psyche to bear. However, there is another and perhaps more psychologically plausible path. This is the path of adaptation and reframing. After the initial shock, humanity might begin to realize that, in a profound sense, nothing has changed and everything has changed. Nothing would have changed in our subjective experience. The sun would still feel warm. The love for a child would still be the most powerful emotion. The pain of a loss would still hurt. The beauty of a piece of music would still be moving. The internal reality of our conscious experience and the moral significance we attach to it would remain intact. A simulated suffering is still experienced as suffering. A simulated joy is still experienced as joy. From our perspective as the inhabitants of the simulation, this is the only reality that matters. In this view, the discovery would not lead to nihilism, but to a profound re-evaluation of what is valuable. We might begin to care less about the substrate of reality, whether it's atoms or bits, and more about the quality of the software, our conscious experiences, our relationships, our societies. The search for meaning would not end. It would become even more focused and intense. We would ask, what is the purpose of this simulation? Are we being tested? Are we being studied? Or are we simply a form of art? This would launch a new global project of cosmic hermeneutics, the attempt to interpret the meaning of our simulated world. This knowledge could also be a powerful force for global unity. The realization that every human being on Earth, regardless of race, nation, or creed, shares the same fundamental, artificial nature could be the ultimate antidote to tribalism. We are all, in the most literal sense, in this together. The conflicts and divisions that define so much of our history might seem utterly absurd in the face of this shared cosmic context. We would finally have a definitive, all-inclusive us. The pursuit of science would be re-energized. The goal would be to reverse engineer the simulation's code, to understand its fundamental physics engine, its rendering shortcuts, its potential bugs. This could lead to a new kind of physics, a new kind of technology. Could we learn to hack our reality, to manipulate the code from within, to perform what would appear to be miracles? On a personal, psychological level, knowing we are in a simulation could be profoundly liberating. It might alleviate the ultimate existential dread, the fear of death. If we are informational beings, then death is not necessarily annihilation. It could be the end of a run, but our data, our soul, could be saved, archived, or even rebooted in a new simulation or uploaded to a higher reality. This would transform death from a final ending into a profound transition, a change in our existential status. This could also fundamentally change how we live. We might become less attached to material possessions, which are just data, and more focused on experiences, on learning, on consciousness itself. We might live with a greater sense of playfulness, of curiosity, and of awe, seeing ourselves as explorers in a vast, mysterious, and beautifully crafted artificial world. The mindfuck is realizing that the ultimate truth about our reality might not be the devastating curse we imagine, but could, after a period of difficult adjustment, be a profound liberation, a catalyst for our species' maturation. As you continue to fall asleep, imagine that moment of knowing, the moment the veil is lifted and you see with absolute certainty that your world is a simulation. Feel the initial shock, the vertigo, the sense of unreality, and then feel the slow dawn of a new kind of understanding, a new sense of unity with all of humanity, a new sense of purpose in exploring and understanding this strange created cosmos, a new sense of peace in the face of your own mortality. Find deep relaxation in this radical act of acceptance, in the knowledge that even if the world is a dream, it is a beautiful and meaningful dream, and it is our dream to live, resting peacefully, a conscious, self-aware thought in the mind of a cosmic computer. Living meaningfully within a potential simulation. Our long and deep journey into the future of humanity and the strange possibilities of a simulated existence now comes to its final and most personal point. We have wrestled with the logic, the evidence, and the profound implications. We are left in a state of deep and perhaps permanent uncertainty. We do not know if we are real or simulated, and we may never know. So, how do we live in the face of this profound mystery? How do we find purpose, value, and create a meaningful life when the very ground of our reality is in question? This is the final existential challenge. The ultimate secret is not about finding the answer to the grand cosmic question, but about how we live a good and fulfilling life despite not knowing the answer. The resolution to this ultimate mindfuck is not an intellectual one, but a practical, ethical, and deeply personal one. It is the path to finding deep relaxation and peace not in certainty, but in the profound act of living a life of meaning, regardless of the ultimate context as you fall asleep. Let us begin by acknowledging the core insight that emerges from this entire exploration, the distinction between metaphysical reality and experiential reality. The simulation hypothesis is a claim about the metaphysical substrate of our world. Is it made of fundamental particles or of computational bits? But our lives are lived not at the level of the substrate, but at the level of our subjective experience. The love you feel for your family, the joy you find in creativity, the pain you feel from a loss, the moral weight of a difficult choice. These experiences are undeniably real to you. They are the currency of your conscious existence. And the value of these experiences is not diminished by the nature of the hardware they are running on. This leads to the first principle of living meaningfully in the face of this uncertainty. Ground yourself in the authenticity of your own conscious experience. A simulated joy is still felt as joy. A simulated suffering is still experienced as suffering. A simulated act of compassion is still a beautiful and meaningful event within the narrative of our reality. The meaning of our lives is not something that is granted to us by the realness of the outside world. It is something we create and find in the quality of our inner world and our interactions with others. The quest for a meaningful life is about enriching our experiential reality, and that quest remains valid and urgent whether our universe is base reality or a high-fidelity simulation. The second principle is to recognize that the foundations of ethics remain unchanged. If we are in a simulation, we must assume that the other beings we interact with are also conscious participants in that simulation, with the same capacity for joy and suffering that we have. Therefore, our moral obligations to them remain absolute. The imperative to be kind, to be just, to alleviate suffering, and to promote flourishing does not depend on the metaphysical status of the universe. In fact, one could argue that our ethical responsibilities are even greater in a simulated world. If our reality is a creation, it may be a form of moral test, an experiment to see how we choose to treat each other. Living an ethical life could be seen as the most rational and meaningful response to this possibility, a way of playing the game with the utmost integrity. The third principle is the embrace of curiosity and learning. The uncertainty about our reality should not lead to apathy, but to a more profound sense of wonder and a more passionate desire to understand. Whether we are scientists trying to understand the laws of physics, or philosophers trying to understand the nature of consciousness, the quest for knowledge remains one of the most noble and meaningful human endeavors. If we are in a simulation, then the scientific project becomes the thrilling task of reverse engineering the source code, of trying to understand the mind of our creators. The very strangeness and beauty of our universe, its elegant mathematical laws, its profound mysteries, all become even more fascinating when viewed as potential features of a grand design. This leads to a fourth principle, the cultivation of intellectual humility. The simulation hypothesis and all the other deep mysteries we have explored should serve as a powerful antidote to dogmatism and certainty. They remind us that our understanding of reality is profoundly limited, and that our most cherished beliefs might be built on a foundation that is far stranger than we can imagine. This humility can foster a greater openness to new ideas, a greater tolerance for different perspectives, and a more compassionate stance towards a world that is, at its core, deeply and fundamentally mysterious. Ultimately, the path to living meaningfully in a potential simulation is to focus on the timeless human virtues that create a good life in any reality. Love, compassion, creativity, curiosity, integrity, and the search for wisdom. These are the things that give our lives meaning, regardless of whether that meaning is written in atoms or in bits. The mind fuck of the simulation hypothesis can be terrifying if we see it as a loss of reality. But it can be liberating if we see it as an invitation to find reality where it has always been. In the quality of our consciousness, in the depth of our relationships, and in the choices we make every single day. As you now surrender completely to the peaceful state of sleep, let go of the grand cosmic questions. Let go of the need to know if you are real or simulated. Bring your awareness back to the simple, undeniable reality of this present moment. The feeling of your breath, the sensation of comfort, the quiet stillness of your own mind. This experience right here, right now, is real. Its value is inherent. The future of humanity and your own personal future will be built not upon the final answer to the ultimate mystery, but upon the countless small, meaningful, and compassionate choices you make. Find the deepest relaxation in this simple, grounding truth, resting peacefully, secure not in the nature of your reality, but in the profound and beautiful value of your own conscious existence.